Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live, the show that brings you 4 hours of live internet poker. These are people playing poker on the internet all over the world. Now, the great thing about it tonight is I have my very special guest. It's Tony TK Kendal. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well now. This is your third visit here, I believe.
A veteran almost.
Yeah, pretty much so, yeah. I was a veteran after about 2 visits, so after 3 you definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 down, 2 to
showing
go.
You the hair, though.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're going to be getting Tony's insightful views into the wonderful game we call Texas Hold'em Poker. And that's what we're going to be watching tonight. The name of the game is Texas Hold'em Poker. Give you a quick introduction on how it works. In Texas Hold'em, you get 2 hidden hole cards, which only you can see, and there are 5 community cards, which everyone can use. You take all 7 cards, make your best 5-card poker hand, and it's the betting that decides who are the winners and who are the losers. Now, in between all of that, there are 4 rounds of betting, and you can either check, raise, or fold according to your hand and your play ability. Now, we'll be going on more on that a little bit later on in the show. However, in the meantime, it is a live show. Myself is live, Tony's live, and here at the studio we're all live. However, the poker is delayed by 5 minutes, which means that people playing on the other end can't turn on their TV sets and see what each other's hole cards are. Now, I did say it's a live show. It's also an interactive show, so if you want to get in contact with myself or Tony, there are a couple of ways you can do that. First way is by texting the show. And all you need to do is text the word poker to 84222. There it is on your screen. Put your question in after that. Put your name at the bottom. And myself or Tony will be only too pleased to read it out and give you our responses. As well as that, you can actually email the show as well, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And why not have a look at our website? We've got a fabulous website, www.pokernightlive.co.uk, and a tremendous forum as well. So worth taking a little peek at that. However, in the meantime, it's about time we had a look at what tables we've got in store for you. Do you want to take us through that, Tony?
Yeah, we've got a few tables on the go tonight, and the first one we're going to pick up is a $5 single table tournament. Blinds are currently at 2040. They all started with 2,000 chips, and there are 12 hands per blind. We joined the mid-tournament. Everybody is still present, although poor Snowman down at the bottom is in a little bit of trouble. TMDBD in seat 3 is in good shape, and we'll also be visiting a $10 sit and go. Same thing here, they start with 2,000 chips, they're 12 hands per level, currently on 1020. It's a full table right at this minute.
Although we've got someone there who's about all in.
Hunker Chunky's trying to prove me wrong here with a magnificent Queen 8. He's looking for the jack that's held in Wilton's hand as well. So
yeah, he needs that jack.
If he gets that, he'll be quite pleased.
Yeah, he won't be pleased if the Queen comes, though. And no, it's all over for him. So we just lost one. So there we go.
And now we go to the cash table, which will be visited on and off throughout the evening. And a regular I see in seat 1 is John Boy Revel. I watched this guy run over the table last week, not literally, but certainly some impressive player, aggressive player, got a very good game. Geronimo was around last week as well. So we'll be going backwards and forwards to the cash game throughout the entire evening.
You scared him off, Tony. He's disappeared. He was there a second ago, John Boy, and he went.
He got a little bit shy. And here's the multi-table tournament, which clearly we'll go backwards and forwards to, but we will be with for the climax towards the end of the show. And this really is quite exciting.
Excellent stuff. Okay, thanks very much for that, Tony. So don't forget, if you want to contact the show, myself and Tony are your beck and call for the next 4 hours. So get in that email, get on that text number, and we'll get to answer all and every one of your questions. In the meantime, I think it's time we went to a little tournament. It looks pretty exciting, so let's head over there and see how these boys play out. So here we've got a $20 tournament, I believe. Sorry, this is a $10 tournament, my mistake, $10 tournament. And as we just saw a moment ago, we're down to 7 players now. Each one started with 2,000 chips. We've got 12 hands per round. We're still at the first round, although that's probably going to change very shortly. Blinds are 10-20, so first level. So lots of play on this, and no reason to get knocked out too early unless you do get a very bad beat like aces against kings or something like that, or kings against queens. But certainly you don't want to be putting too many of your stack at risk because you've got quite a lot of chips to play with.
There's some interesting draws on this hand, the 2s and the 6-9.
Yeah, there's all sorts of draws there, and in the end, It's
Can you believe a pocket two's done that against two players with big hands?
well, he's deciding whether that 5 looks a bit of a blank on the end there, so he's probably wondering what he could be willing to bet here. And he decides to fold in the end.
You do have to be brave with a pair of twos, don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
most of the cards are overcards, and someone bets, you just don't know where you are. But if you can get a pair of twos through, it makes you feel good for the evening.
Well, and it was a bit of a suspicious bet there, I guess, as well. He only bet 60 into a 180 pot, which would suggest that he wanted a call. But Stringer might have decided to call him. That 5 on the end there looked a bit of a blank, because. But having said that, Breeze was on the small blind. He could have easily have had a 5 in his hand. So that's probably what Steamer was thinking. Is thinking, well, he's in the small blind. He could be holding a 5. So maybe he's now feeling very comfortable with his set of 5s.
The beauty of that little bet on the end, we all see it all the time, is how do you interpret it? Strength or weakness? It's always a worry, isn't it?
It's up to the commentator, isn't it? So if it looks like a good play, he can say it's showing strength. If it looks like a weak play, he can say it's showing weakness. So it really depends. But really, what we try and do here is give you it as it is. If it looks like a weak bet, regardless of what the board is, then we just say it.
Yeah, we can
it's
see
a
the
fine
whole
line, though, isn't it?
We can see the whole cards. When you can't see other people's cards, it's a tricky situation you find yourself in. When someone puts a small bet, you think, does he want to call or is he not very strong?
Of course, and because we can see all the cards, and because we're looking as an overview to the table, it makes it much easier to decide as well. Whereas they're obviously just concentrating a little bit more on their hand. It sort of takes away a little bit of the focus of concentrating on everyone else's hand. But
well, look at this. We've got a fellow with ace-queen suited got called by a rag ace, and a rag ace is hit 2 pairs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call them rag aces, but I always think ace-8 is a rag ace.
Well, he's only made it. The problem is, you see, this is what happened, though, Tony. He's only made it 40 to play.
Yeah.
And because he's only made it 40 to play, he's now, the other guy says, OK, well, for another 30, I'll call.
Yeah, he was committed to his small blind anyway. He really should have made that 70 or 80, I feel.
Yeah, he should have made it 3 or 4 times a big blind.
I guess the truth is he wanted a call, and now he doesn't want the call.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steamer's letting him off the hook here, really. I mean, he's OK. We can see there's. Well, he's not letting him off the hook now.
Yeah,
And,
but can he get off this though? Because he's hit his hand.
Yeah.
I think he's going to call.
Well, I think it would be a bad play not to call in a way. But he has shown strength, Steamer.
Wow, what a pass.
Yeah, very good pass. Very good pass. He has shown strength throughout that hand. You know, he played it like he had a strong hand. So I guess that solely thought that, well, I've only got 1 pair at the end of the day. Sure, I've got a queen kicker with it, but it is only 1 pair. So good fold there by Solly. Well done. The only thing I would say that was not well played on that was the pre-flop bet. I think it needs to be a bit higher, a bit more meat to it. Probably around 4 times a big blind would have been good for me. Yeah,
unless the guy actually wants to tempt a caller in, which is maybe not a good idea, but that may have been his thinking.
Yeah, but it's only got ace queen at the end of the day, Tony, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got ace high at the end of the day.
Nothing there really. I'm sure he's got position, but he wants to have a bit of a.
Well, there's 2 people here with a straight draw, one with a top pair, one with 2 pair.
Yeah,
this could get
and solely he's drawing pretty thin.
This could end in tears.
Well, it'd be very interesting if a 9 appears, won't it? And DeLee is saying, I want it now. I don't know what you 2 have got, but it doesn't look particularly attractive to me. I'll take what I've got. Well, another interesting hand developing here. 9s against 7s and against an ace-4 suited.
Suited ace.
Yeah, he's decided to limp in. I don't like limping in with that unless you're just prepared to go for the flush and nothing else. Once you've got to be very, very careful if an ace does appear on that board.
Well, that's a horrible flop for the guy with pocket 7s.
Yeah, not too clever for the guy with...
It's not even nice for the guy with 9s.
Yeah, a little better for him because he has got an inside straight draw to that.
Unless a 10 comes. Nobody likes this flop, really. It's who's bravest here.
Yeah, well, they've now got all quite a bit of information, and Sul 101 might think that he's just... well, he won't call it now. He's going to give up on that.
He lets go.
Yeah,
I think the 9s have to let go. I think they all have to let go. I think this is a good bet by Will Tomcat.
A little bit weak.
Wow.
I think it was a little bit weak because he'd done it when the 4 appeared, and with an 8-Jack Queen flop, yeah, there you go. And with an 8-Jack Queen flop, you're basically saying that look, if you've hit top pair or whatever, you're not going to check it into 3 people. You're going to start betting it out.
Yeah, but he could be betting second pair, couldn't he? Because nobody's betting
Yeah.
top pair, and the fella in seat 1, Debris, has made a very good play with his third pair.
He has. He's decided that I don't believe you. Let's test that by making it double and see what you do.
We get an action every hand here. We've now got seats 1 and 2 with ace jack and pocket sixes.
Yeah, they both limped in, haven't they, Tony? Do you like this play with the ace jack limping in under the gun?
I don't like playing ace jack, to be truthful, because I don't know where I am.
Okay. Tony comes from the... you've got quite a little treat tonight, actually, if you're watching out there, because Tony plays quite a solid, tight game, whereas, as you know, I'm not quite as conservative as that, let's put it that way. So an interesting hand developing here, although he won't like that too much. That 8 is now starting to make all sorts of draws possible. And he decided, well, let's just take it now. This is, whilst I've hit my set, it's not a particularly attractive set.
It's actually, as sets go, that was pretty horrible. He'd hit his set, but there was a straight draw there and a flush draw. And it was one of those occasions when he would have wished for a much different flop. He wanted to see an ace or a king down there or something. Yeah,
it's unfortunate, isn't it? Because when you play a hand that way, you want to hit this set and you think, OK, this is my time to cash in now. And then the board just makes it so horrible, you can't slow play it at all.
Correct. He couldn't get as much out of that as he deserved.
No, just one of those things, isn't it, where you get a set. It just shows you flop a set sometimes. Sometimes you can play these hands to flop sets and it's still no good. Because you're not going to get a penny out of it.
This is interesting. King Queen's made a big raise.
Well,
he wouldn't mind seeing a jack now, would he?
Yeah. He's got bluffing rights now, Robo, though. He's seen weakness from Sull not betting on an 8, 9, 10 board. He might decide that this is my chance to play at it, and he has. A bit weak there, though. The bet was a bit weak. I think he would have liked to have made it a bit more pot size, put a bit of fear into Sull 101. But now he's just going to play it down, and the ace is going to take it. Yeah, I think the right play there was by Robo. He made a good bet on the turn. I think the bet was just a bit light. That's all. I think I would have liked to have made it around pot size. I'm willing to take a chance that I'm going to get an even money return on this. Well, Robo, is he tilting? We're asking. Sull, he's up against his nemesis again. Sull. He's got, oh look, we've got steamers coming.
He's got 2 pair, but he's ace 6. How's Sull going to play this?
And the problem for Sull here, Tony, is that he hasn't even got an overcard to aim for, to pair the board or anything. So, if a 3 comes, he's saying...
he's drawing to a jack pretty well.
Or a 7, yeah. 7 will get him out of this as well now. No. So once that Robo gets some of his money back from Sull that he lost in the previous hand. And throwing up a few interesting confrontations here, isn't it, Tony?
Yeah, there's lots of big hands very early here, and you see this. It's very difficult for either of these players to get off this. The ace-jack's gone in a mile ahead. The ace-6 is pulling to the 6. He's flopped his 6. Really, there's no way out for Sull here.
Yeah.
And Robo has got himself a bit lucky, to be truthful.
Yeah, he has. What do you think about the way he played that? He was in a cut-off, and he just limped in with his ace-jack. And when there was no reason to really limp in that situation, I don't think.
Well, the problem with limping, I'm a perpetual limper, and I keep telling myself not to do it, but the problem with limping is you don't find out where you are, number 1, and number 2, you don't get rid of rag aces. If he'd have put a probe bet in there, he'd have known if he was facing anything, number 1. Number 2, the guy with ace-6 would have gone away. Now, he wouldn't have won much of a pot, but as it happens, he's lost a big pot.
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, I mean, in that situation, you might still have found Robo would have called with his ace-6 because he'd just take a bit of a hit and he's looking to try and get his chips back, so he might be a little bit on tilt. So he might have decided, but look at this, we've got a set of 5s. Oh, he's just won a smallish pot. So he might not have gone away, but it's like you said, if you don't bet, you just don't know where you are, do you?
Yeah, I think people don't always realise there are a number of reasons for betting before the flop. Sometimes you want to make the pot big, sometimes you think you've got the best hand, sometimes you want to get rid of people, but there is another reason, which is find out where you are. And sometimes it's the cheapest bet is the first one. If you put a pot-sized bet in and somebody rams it back, if you've got ace-jack, you get out the way.
Look at this, we've got a thing of beauty here. We've got the 7-8 suited. I mean, it's not as nice as 7-8 offsuit, but it's, it's not far behind.
Wow, there's a set here.
See, that's the power of 7-8. Now, I've been telling the commentators this for the last 6 months. I've
Well,
been preaching about 7-8.
I've been watching you guys. You're the 7-8 man, and James is the King-Queen man.
Oh, James, he doesn't know what he's talking about with that King-Queen. He's driving me mad with that King-Queen. You know, Land of the Unraised. He's been watching too many Disney stories, you know, Land of the Unraised Pot and all this sort of thing. I don't know what he's going on about. It's the 7-8 is the hand. 7-8 is the hand.
7-4 is the hand, actually.
Oh, don't talk to me about 7-4. I went out to the World Series, not last year, the year before, with 7-4.
You would. It's a powerhouse.
Oh, no, sorry. No, that was the Aussie Millions, not... sorry, 6-4 in the World Series. Can't imagine you ever going out with a 7-4...
No, I'm an absolute... I never play less than kings, so...
No, you think he's joking. He's not far off, I tell you. If you ever come across this man on the tables, give him a lot of respect. He won't be playing 7-8 offsuit, I can guarantee it.
So next time I play Beat the Presenter, remember that. I only play with aces and kings.
So Robo Squirrel, with his 2-6 there on the big blind, just happy to get away from that one. Blinds of up to 20-40, we can see it's been like that for a few hands now, and a little bit less plain than it was before, but the nice thing about this new structure that we've got here, congrats to the organisers, it's now a very playable sit and go tournament. It means you do have some play, you make 1 or 2 mistakes, it's not curtains, it's not the end of the world. You've got still recovery points. Just look at Robo Squirrel, was down to about 1,200 before, and he's all the way up to 2,500 again. Whereas on the other structure, starting with 1,000 chips, if you're down to 400, you know, that's pretty much it. You're sort of almost going home time.
The concept that we have online of a specific number of hands per level fascinates me, because we don't do that in live poker, do we? We always have it on a clock.
Yeah, I've noticed some places used to do it on a round by round basis, but certainly not recently.
Not these days, and
No.
sometimes you get on a very, very slow table, and you know, people mess around for a particular reason, and you're getting less hands than other tables. If you make it so many hands per level, I think it's a pretty fair way of doing it.
Yeah.
In this case here, 12 hands per level on a full table, that's a round and a half, 1.5 orbits, if that's grammatically correct.
You know, one of the things I like, Tony, is that I played in the Aussie Millions a couple of years back, and when there were 2 tables left or 3 tables left, they actually played it round for round as opposed to hand for hand.
Right.
So it meant
Orbit
that every
for orbit.
player,
Yeah.
so it means that every player only plays once, because if we've got an offshoot of a table who's got 5 players, the other one's got 6, and the other one's got 6,
Yeah.
it means the 5-player ones are playing that 1 more hand each time.
Which is huge.
Yeah,
It's 20% more hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So, and also it doesn't slow the game down
Look at
quite
this
so much.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Boat over boat.
Yeah, boat over boat, and the big boat is going to beat the little boat, as they always do.
Yeah.
Well, we can see there, just talking about structures and what have you, and we missed a good hand there, unfortunately. He flopped it.
Here it is again.
Yeah. So, back to the game, 7-3. He's decided to have a little look with 7-3. He said, well, I've got position, decide what to do.
Oh, Queen 5 for 2 pairs.
Yeah.
But Sol's got a nice flush draw.
Yeah.
Only one with a spade in his hand.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that.
No.
He doesn't want to play around with that. It's not a nice flop. He hasn't got a spade in his hand. He needs to get rid of. He needs to find out where he stands with that. He needs to see if anyone's got an ace or a king or a queen of spades. In fact, it couldn't be a queen of spades because that was out there. But he needs to see if anyone's got a jack, king or ace in their hand of spades. And they've got that. They're going to have to pay to see that other spade. That was his thinking, and that was, for me, that was the right play. Well, lucky...
We haven't seen Ace-Jack win yet, have we? It's missed again here, and it's a lovely flop for Robo Squirrel with pocket 10s.
Well, he's tempting him, isn't he? He's tempting him to have a little bet, and he has. He's bought, and Robo is now going to wrap this up.
Robo's going to get in heavy here, and Sully will go away. No, he hasn't gone away.
No. Well, Robo's going to finish it off now. Yeah.
He's got no draw.
Yeah, I didn't like the call by Soli there.
He's chased his hand and he's crippled himself. He's down to 650, and he's going to need to get busy soon. That's damaged him badly. Yeah,
that was a good piece of play there by Robo. He felt that he had a good feeling that Soli was going to have a little go at that, and I bet he didn't expect the call though. That was the thing that probably surprised him.
Yep.
You know, with the hand that he now knows to be. But look, we've got that Ace-Jack again. And look, again we've got this situation.
The King 3 beating King 8.
Gosh, is that a reason you don't play King 8, Tony, in the small, in under the gun?
I think that would be reasonable to say. I don't like raggy cards, raggy kickers. I don't mind playing suited connectors, but raggy kickers, if he hits his 8, he doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
And there's no way he can know that he's behind to King 3 here, except to say it's not a good kicker. And so
well, he's got some cards to help him, though, hasn't he?
Yes,
he's got the 5, the 8, the 9 that could get him out of this.
Yeah, he's got some ways away.
And the 2 sols and solis.
Oh, he's gone all in.
Yeah, he's going to have to hit one of those. No.
I'm afraid it's curtains.
It is, yeah. And that's the problem, isn't it, Tony? When you play a rag ace, when you play a rag king, the suited versions, this is what I was saying about that ace 5 suited earlier.
Correct.
I said, I don't really mind a limp or whatever it was, ace 3 or whatever it was. I don't mind a limp as long as you realise that if you hit your set, if you hit your ace, you've got to be very, very careful with it.
You now need to know where you are.
Yeah, and it's the same with him. He had a rag king, he hit his king, you've got to be very, very careful with it.
I think when you're in that situation, when your tournament's on the line, there's a question you have to ask yourself: can I find a better situation for all my chips? And I want to be moving first. I don't want to be responding to someone else.
No.
And so I think maybe there was a better spot for those chips.
Yeah, that's a good point by Tony. You want to be the person. You want to be the action player, not the guy that actually ends up calling all the time.
The aggressor or the initiator. It's always better to be first because, quite simply, it's got nothing to do with poker. It's got to do with the fact the other guy might pass, and you win it without seeing anything. So that's the free roll.
Yeah, gives you 2 ways of winning, doesn't it?
Correct.
Okay. So we had a little look at that sit and go. We're going to go straight back there in a moment. However, let me just give you a quick recall of how to get in contact with me or Tony tonight. First way is by texting the show, and you can do that by texting the word poker to 84222. Text the word poker and your question and your name, and it'll be read out live on Poker Night Live. As well as that, you can email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Once again, same format, put your name in there, and that way me or Tony can address you rather than just as a number. In the meantime, we're going to head straight back to that sit and go. Let's see how they've progressed.
Poor Soli's running into trouble here. He's down at 910 with blinds at 40-80, so he's still got a re-raise in. I always think you're comfortable if you've got a re-raise. There's a raise and a re-raise. A pot size raise here would be about 250, yeah, 280.
A pot size raise, yeah, not far off.
So at 870, you've got a re-raise in you, so you've still got some muscle. So he doesn't need to press the panic button yet a while.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
That's horrible for Debreeze.
I'm afraid Debreeze is going to die on this hand.
Yeah, he needs a lot of help, doesn't he? He needs running cards for a straight, or he needs an 8 to appear.
Yeah, and that's the only way he can get off this hand. There's no way out of it. I don't believe.
Or running 6s, or
nobody lets go
like
here. This has to end in an accident.
Yeah. Well, only an 8's going to save him now.
No.
No, and not a lot you can do in that situation, is it? That was pretty nasty for Debreeze. You're very unlucky, Debreeze. I don't think you've done much wrong. It's a nice hand you've got there, 8-9 suited on the button. Very unfortunate to run into a bigger hand like that.
To my mind, that's one of those that's poker things.
Absolutely,
he didn't do anything wrong. If he passed that hand, he's playing wrong.
Yeah.
He just run into one of those situations.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And you still had some outs to win, you know. Not many, but you have a couple. But yeah, that was unfortunate. So unfortunate because you don't often lose big pots with the likes of 8-9. I mean, you do when you hit a flush and someone's got a bigger flush.
The beauty of suited collectors is when you hit your flop, you tend to get paid.
Yeah.
And that's why people pay them. And that was the perfect flop for him.
Yeah.
It just so happened that someone sat there with a better version of it.
Yeah.
But there's no way he can pass, and he didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
We've got a flush draw here against top pair.
Well,
if I'm on the button here with this flush draw, I can do two things. I can pass or I can jam the pot. We can't keep calling. Oh dear, he's caught his 8 as well.
yeah, I don't think he's worried about the 8. I think he was looking for his flush. I think he'll give it up. Yeah.
You can burn chips by calling down in these situations. Alternatively, you can say, I'll let the thing go, or I'll bet very, very strong. I think that's a preferred course of action to call him down.
Yeah, I don't mind the play actually, Tony, in that situation. I'll tell you why I don't mind it is because there was an ace on the board, and it's quite likely Dealey had an ace. If there was no ace on the board, then I figure that he can fold this hand. If he's got sort of the board is jack high and he's got a jack or something, there's a mixture of other cards on there. When there's an ace on there, people are less willing to give up their aces, aren't they?
Yeah, so he's going to get paid more if he hits his flush.
He gets paid, yeah, but the odds
I
are
say, in other words, when he jams, you can't get rid of him.
You can't get rid of him, yeah. You've got no fold equity, that's the problem.
Yep.
And when you're looking to jam, you're looking to get rid of the player on some occasions. Well, Solly's got another rag ace. What do you reckon? Ace 5-4. How about that for a flop? It's got to be, isn't it? Ace 5-4.
Ace 5-9 would be interesting.
Ace 5-9 would be very interesting.
There aren't many aces left. With 50% of them are in vision already.
Well, we haven't got ace. We've got maybe a 2.
Well, how about that for Robo Squirrel?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. He's just calling, and he's totally right in doing that.
Absolutely.
You want a slow play? Oh,
dear,
he would have caught it. He would have caught. He would have caught it, but
he would have caught the straight. But
he's lucky. Robo Squirrel. He's lucky that Steamer did the betting for him.
Yeah, he's got a monster hand.
Because you know what would have happened? Possibly. He would have probably gone around to Solly Boy. He would have put in a big bet.
Yep.
And he felt he was pot committed now. And then he's hit that flop. So hit that turn card. Gosh. So Robo takes down a very nice pot indeed.
Well, the chips are moving clockwise around the table here. We've got seats 1, 2 and 3 not in intensive care yet, but they're wounded.
Yeah, they're on a drip, aren't they?
Yep. Lines are 40-80, so pot size raises 280.
Well, look, got trips against trips, Tony.
This is action stuff. We've got a full house here as well.
A full house? No full house. Nearly.
Oh, no, that's those double squiggles are 8s, not 3s, aren't they? My apologies.
Yeah, so trip 8. So Solly Boy, 2 pair, not good enough, unfortunately. But obviously the Queen, the 3 didn't really play there. He was playing the board kicker.
With his stack, he couldn't get off that.
So we've got down to 5 players now, and Robo Squirrel's merrily on his way, looking pretty healthy at the moment. He was down to the wire a little earlier on. We just want to say down to the wire. He was down to about 1,000, 1,100 chips, and he's come back very nicely.
He's had the help of the cards, though.
It certainly has, yeah.
Wilton Cat in seat 6 has sat very quietly and patiently, and going to have to start changing gears soon. Got plenty of chips.
Yeah.
That's my tip to finish in the top 5.
Still the situation for him, he's still got 40 times the big blind though, Will Tomcat in that situation. So he's looking pretty healthy, even
exactly.
Even though he's nowhere near Robo Squirrel. So that's the lovely thing about this structure. We're into level 3, and he's still got plenty of play. 40 times a big blind is plenty of play.
I'm a big fan, always a 2 pair here, I'm a big fan of letting other people knock each other out in these things. If you've got a reasonable stack and reasonable structure, you can sit quietly. All of a sudden you're down to 3 or 4 and you haven't done anything.
So 2 pair, he's betting at it, just in case there's a draw out there.
Not quite sure why he's left himself 30 chips. But
yeah, I think he just used a slider bar and...
missed.
Thought, well...
That keeps him in the game.
Well, gives him a bit more chance. He's got over 10 times a big blind now, so he's not in a desperate situation. So let's have a look at some pre-flop folds. We can see that Will Tomcat, as Tony was suggesting, playing very tight. 78% of the time he's folding, only calling 22% of the time. And we can see Solly Boy at the bottom there, who's dearly departed now. He was playing like a wild man, playing 62% of the hands. That's very high.
He's my hero, Will Tomcat, because he's in good shape and he hasn't worked very hard to get there.
I quite like the way Robo's been playing. He's been playing...
He's played everything he's played. I think he's played perfectly. But you have to say he has hit some nice hands, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
You can go a fortnight without hitting a set. And he's hit some sets where he's had opposition, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But he's done nothing wrong. Nut flush draw. Big flush draw here. Second nut flush draw for Will Tomcat. No draw for D Breeze, but
definitely, the guy's got 670, you want to pump it now, definitely. Now you would bet that, because the guy's only got 670. You put him under pressure.
Can't kill you.
Yeah, he can't do that much damage. Do you some damage, but won't put you in any serious trouble. Well, with only 3 players behind you. I might have fancied a little bet there with the ace-8.
Yeah, it's all good to play, but when you're playing five-handed, ace-8
one of them's folded as well.
Is almost the equivalent of ace-queen, ace-jack. It's something like that if you was to apportion it. So,
and of course, he had 1 player just fold as well, which means that he's only got 3 players behind him now to worry about.
But he's my man. He's sitting like a quiet thing, or my lady, or my cat.
So Steamer takes that one, and. Well, King Queen, what's he going to do here? Land of the unraised pot and all that, as James would say?
Mr. Browning's hand.
Yeah, let's see if he...
How does he play it under the gun then when there's been no action? He raises, right, okay.
Yeah, that's not... James would not be pleased with you, Will Tomcat.
I'm bound to say it's a hand that can get you in so much trouble if you walk into ace, king or ace,
I personally
queen.
like the bet. I think... James,
that's the right way to play it, yeah.
I think so. 5-handed, I think so. James might even agree with me on that one. 5-handed, put in a bet.
I don't think James would agree with you, but yes, it was the right play, my
So I would like to ask you, I've got a very important question here, Tony. I would like to ask you, who is tighter, you or James?
Oh, me.
You?
Absolutely. I'm like a lump of lumpy stuff. Whereas James is like a gay, young, abandoned, bish-bash-bosh man compared to me.
I'll be careful with your words there.
Oh, we're good friends, James and I. Many a clash of the table. We had a wonderful time in Vienna. We was on the same table in the EWSOP. And the Chinese gentleman took us both to pieces. Right.
Well, that's worked out nicely for Dee Breeze. He's now doubled through. Didn't expect that. He didn't like to see those jacks turn when he went all in.
He was drawn a little thin, wasn't he? But,
yeah, just to the queen, 3 outs.
Got there. I'm glad because he's played well. And he's back at 1260 now with blinds at 8160. That's an awkward pot size, to be honest with you. 1260 with blinds at 8160 means that if he makes a pot size raise, he's effectively committed himself.
Yeah, well...
Pot size raise is 500.
And he's called, well, he's actually called. He needs a 10 to get him out of this one. No.
Well, look at this, what a comeback. He's now got 2,920.
Yeah, he's chancing his arm a bit there with the king 10.
Wasn't he just? But when you're low chip, then you have to do these things, don't you?
Yeah.
Needs must as a devil drives.
That's right, because we say, well, how can you say he's low chips, Mark? Because, you know, a minute ago he wasn't doing too bad and now he's low chips. Well, what's happened in between now and then is the blinds have gone up. 8160 and his 1400 was less than 10 times the big blind.
Has to move in here with his ace-9 because of his chip stack.
Yeah.
Walton has to call with his ace-10.
A 2 will get him out of it. He needs that 2 or 9. No.
And Will Tomtats took another pot down, and we're down to 4.
Down to 4, bubble time. And we're in an interesting situation here, Tony, because a couple of the players aren't really that desperate, even though they're sort of short compared to the other two. So we've got 160 of the blind. They've got around 15 times the big blind. So they're pretty healthy at the moment.
Well, the 8 runners, 2,000 chips, so there was 16,000 chips in play, so the average now should be 4,000. And we've got Robo on 50% above average, Will Tom just about average, and the other two half to 2/3 average. But with blinds at 8160, they've all got play, they've all got a re-raise in them, and let's see if they can carry on playing sensibly.
So what is the right way to play here, Tony? Is it just for RoboScrew, who's got the chip lead, is it should he be bashing them, or should he just pick up where he feels the opportunities exist, or should he just keep on hammering and hammering now that it's bubble time?
I think he should keep hammering at this moment because there are 2 stacks here that don't want to go out. And so at every blank spot, I think he should be moving. Look at this, he's got deuce 9 and called his 9.
Yeah.
And he's going to take this spot. So I do
well,
think
not necessarily
he should...
Deep Breeze. He's got an inside straight draw and an overcard. He might feel that... but I don't like... I think Deep Breeze, if he was going to do that, he had to... well, he won't like that.
Deep Breeze might get him off this. No.
Yeah, no, he won't do it now.
He's damaged himself again.
Yeah, I think...
down to 1,500.
Yeah, I think the play there was... if you wanted to push for your inside straight draw, you can't call Deep Breeze. You're not likely to hit it. So in other words, when you're not likely to hit a hand, you've got to bet it.
That's it. Pass it or bet it. I think calling it is what we all do, but we bleed to death doing it.
Yeah, I don't mind it so much if he was up and down at least, but not for an inside straight draw.
He might move here with his ace-7.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Well, he's playing it.
Wow, he's limped.
Yeah, he's a bit worried now, I think, that...
you see, now he has to beat 2 players, and he doesn't know if they have a hand.
Yeah. Oh, he's checked it. Oh, dear. He's got a 693 board, D-Breeze. I think you could have done something there.
He won't get rid of...
no, he won't do it now. He won't get rid of it
now.
Too late.
Only the ace can save him.
Yeah, D-Breeze had an opportunity there. He saw two players check a 693 board. It's a horrible flop. No, it doesn't look like anyone's hit it. And if they have, they're not going to pass. They're unlikely to check a 9 round to you. So why not be the better? Maybe you've got that 9. 9-10 is quite a possible hand that you could have limped in with. 8-9. Ace-9 perhaps.
Well, we're going to get some action here, and D-Breeze will have to pass. If it was blank, he would have moved in.
Yeah, problem for Will Tomcat. He's got 2 players behind him. Doesn't know what they're going to do. Well, his D-Breeze is just leaking, isn't he? He seems to want to call all of a sudden.
He has to move in. He'll pass here, and he's moved in. He might have got away with it, actually.
Well, he might as well have shoved all his chips in. I don't know why
he's
he left
left
himself.
120 again. Is that slider bar, perhaps?
Yeah, he should have. Well,
who are we to realise? Look, he's back up to 2,000.
Yeah, he's playing aggressively. It's a shame he didn't do that with the ace earlier. He had the better hand and didn't do it. And
we all have different ways of playing the game, and it's hard to figure out quite you know, how this can work. This cooling down. I think you either get in or get out.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because with the ace-7, he didn't choose to do it. Yet with the king-6 or whatever it was, he decided to.
Yeah. Well, there's no flops that's nice. So there aren't many flops that are nice for pocket 4s, and that isn't one of them.
No, not really.
Robo's caught a little bit of it, so it's who dares win his, I think.
Yeah, and there's a big pot there, isn't there? So
I don't see them checking it down somehow. Well, they are.
I don't think Robo's will check it anymore. He's had 1 check out of him. He's had 2 checks out of him. He says that's enough. I'm probably winning with my 6. He wouldn't. He's unlikely. No, he's giving him another one.
Again.
And Dealey will probably think his 4s might be winning here. That 3 didn't harm him. So
and this is just who bets wins for me.
yeah, I think Dealey done it the right thing. I don't think he should have bet there. Was he thinking there's a good chance that my 4s are winning? The guy's checked twice. The 3 didn't help. I think you would have bet an 8 by now. You would have bet an ace. So possibly I could get rid of a 6, but that's the only thing I could get rid of. In fact, he did have a 6, so he could have got rid of that 6 with a bet there. But most times that you'll be winning without having to fork out any chips. So I think Dealey actually played it right, although we could see that.
I think I know who seat 1 is, you know. I think that's Julian Thu. Have you seen how his stack is yo-yoing up and down?
It could be.
I mean, he's down to 500, he's up to 3, he's back to...
You know, Julian played $10 sit and goes, though.
Oh, when he's had a good month, he does, yes. So, Queen 9, Ace King. King is hit. That King's hit a full house here. 6 is over.
6 is full of kings.
Says good night to Dealey.
Yeah, right. We're into the money, and if you're wondering what these players will get, they forked out $10 plus the $1 registration. $11 is what they forked out, and prize money is as follows: $80 is in the prize pool. Third place gets $16. Second place gets 24, and third will get 40. Sorry, first will get 40. Let's try again. 16 for third. Second 24. First gets 40. There's your prizes. So next one to go out is going to hit $16. Quite a bit of difference here, Tony, between third and first. $16 for first, third, and 40 for first.
There is, and D-Breeze is bottom of the pile at the moment, so he's got to find a customer somehow.
So if you're in a situation here, Tony, where you're getting much more cash for first than you are for third, is it gambling time for third? Does it really matter if you come third or second because there's not that much difference?
I think the first priority of these things is to make the money, so you've recovered your investment. Now you've
just one sec, Tony. Just look at this. We're going to have trouble here.
Oh,
he's got your friend there down the bottom has got just hit his ace. He must think that's good in this situation. He's got aces and kings with a queen kicker, although won't like that 10 too much, and I don't think Robo liked it either. So it's safe for Tomcat.
He got out of that very cheap, didn't he?
Yeah, he was lucky that 10 of clubs came. But
now going back to what we were saying, when the guy's made third, he's got his investment back. Now he can gamble. He's on a free roll now, but he needs some hands. He's not getting much in the way of hands.
No, well, Robo has hit that lovely hand again, the 7-8 suited. As I said, it's good.
And he's played it nicely on the button.
And he knows Will Tomcat's a tight player, and he's now taking advantage of that tight
They need
image.
to put their knee on seat 1's windpipe here, stop him breathing. And it doesn't sound very nice, but it's a cruel game, poker. They've got to keep this guy on the floor. And it's Dee Breeze's problem. He's got to find a spot to gamble with and hope he can double up. And quite correctly, Robo bets big with that King 5. Dee Breeze has to let go. This can only go on for so long. Dee Breeze is looking for a spot. It may be the button next time.
Oh, he's limped.
He's made up there, and really he should pass or raise, in my opinion.
I think so, yeah. Or he might have... Well, you see, this is the problem, isn't it? Because, you see, the thing is, Dee Breeze had an opportunity there. He must have picked up by now that Will Tomcat is a type player.
Yeah.
And he's not played him for a type player.
He wasn't to know it, but a raise there takes it.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you've got to take a chance, haven't
with
you?
With his chips, really, it's as long as he's got live cards, he's okay. But in fact, he actually was dominating the other player, and he's left himself now. I mean, whatever he does, he's going to get called wherever he plays it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter now.
He's drawn extremely thin now.
Very thin, yeah. Only 2 5s left in the pack.
Oh!
And he's hit one of them. There we go. He's been getting out of jail a few times, hasn't he, Dee Breeze?
There goes that yo-yo stuck again.
He's like Houdini, isn't he, that guy?
I think it is Julian Thug, for sure. Not many people could pull that rabbit out of the hat right at the end there.
Yeah, gosh. He's managed to... That's exactly what he's done. He's pulled another rabbit out of the hat, and we've seen him go up and down. He's certainly entertaining.
Blinds are 326.40, so pot raise here is 21-2200, so Dee Breeze has got one move. I really don't want to see him limping with anything. Pass or move in for me.
Yeah, there's no...
unless he finds a really, really big hand, aces or kings.
There's no...
Well, he's at a walk.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. I think he would have preferred to double up with his ace-jack.
Yes, he wanted a customer that time.
Yeah. Well, he's done this thing again. And Will Tomcat is just going to say, well, this is what we're going to do, and he's going to go all in. The problem is he's got no fold equity anymore, so he's committed to this pot, and he's always called it, and he's hit.
He's hit bottom.
Now that he's hit bottom pair, he has to take it. And Will Tomcat is thinking, you've hit a king or jack, have you?
Well, the bet size suggests he wants a caller.
Yeah, I don't know what the call is for, really, unless he just thinks his ace is winning.
An ace or a queen will do for Wilton here.
Well, he's just improved his hand to a straight.
Oh, he's got a straight now.
Yeah.
Can he get paid, though?
He's not going to get paid now, but I think Will Tomcat played that very strangely. He just... he hasn't changed gears, has he? That's the problem.
No, he's maybe he's asleep, but he's down to 1,400 now. But this is his hand. And let's see him double up here. He does need to keep moving, because Dee Breeze has got himself in a strong contention now. Isn't it amazing, the game that he's played in Seat 1? Delighted for him.
Yeah, he's come back well, hasn't he? Very well.
While my tip to win this has disappeared. With ace queen against king 2.
He made a mistake with the ace 6, didn't he?
Yeah,
that was his error.
And the thing with these things is once you get too low, there's no way out of them, is there?
No, absolutely. There isn't. You're quite right.
Well, I was wrong on Will Tomcat. I thought he was going to do this. Remarkable game by Dee Breeze. He really has. He enjoys his sit and goes, or she enjoys hers, whatever. Up and down, in and out, down to the felt, calling, but still there. And who's to say won't win it?
Yeah,
got a nice
comeback, wouldn't it?
Got a nice drawer, up and down drawer here, and has taken it, and is a pot off the chip lead, and this should be the pot where I'd like to see him raise quite strong. Ace 7 heads up, a big hand. That's what he does. Ace 6 against Queen 10 now. Big hands. Heads up. Well, Queen 10's flopped top pair. Dee Breeze has managed to get away from it. I wouldn't want to play Dee Breeze heads up because he won't go away sometimes. And if you're bluffing, these are the last people you want to see. Here's two monsters, 6-8 against 4 deuce. And it's come Queen 5-2. So the 4 deuce is nicely ahead. Not now.
No, not now indeed.
And D-Breeze has breezed into the lead.
Yeah.
And Robo Squirrels...
There's still a tiny bit of play left, but not much really here. You're almost committed.
Well, blinds at 640, 1280. Pot raise is 4,500. It's all going to go in here, I fancy. I'm not sure Robo will raise big here. And the D-Breeze might think his hand's good.
Yeah. Can you get out jail on this one,
He needs
Tony?
to catch a 5.
Yeah, only a 5 will do. No, no straight for him this time.
Wow, what a great game.
Yeah, so well played, guys. Nice comeback, D-Breeze. He done very well to come back into second spot there, didn't he? Taking 24 and first taking 40, so well done there. Chip movement graph here, Tony? Oh, maybe not.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, they flatlined. They've all flatlined. There you go. We got it too late.
Well, I think we had a worthy winner, to be fair.
Yeah, he played. I thought he played very well, Robo. Very well indeed. Nice win, Robo. Well done. We've got a ton of emails to go through, Tony. So, going to pick your brains on some of these. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. First one is from Big Slim. How you doing, Big Slim? Great show as always. Went back to playing sit and goes because that seems to be what I'm best at, especially after losing a couple of $100 at a cash game. Anyway, I was wondering how best to deal with a bad beat. Last night I was playing, I got down to the last 4, was doing perfectly fine with my stack when I get dealt a pair of queens. Guy goes all in, and naturally I call putting myself all in too. He turns over a pair of 9s, one of which was a spade. Flop comes down, spade, 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 and you can guess what happens. He ends up going out in 4th. I was livid. I know neither of us did anything wrong as he went all in with a pair of 9s, trying to prevent the flop coming, so I do not hold any malice. But is there a way to look at this that will help me feel better about what happened? Or is there something that I'll just have to learn to live with? And then, many thanks for any advice you might give. This is probably a good one for you, Tony, and I say it's a good one for you because you're probably likely to have more bad beats than I am, in as much that you play the more traditional starting hands. So every now and again you'll come across these situations more so than I will.
But I think this is a very, very important point, and an excellent email from Big Slim. How does he deal with it? He has to learn to deal with it because it will destroy his game and it will destroy his enjoyment of the game if he doesn't. What you've got here is you've gone in ahead and you've come out behind. If you go in with aces against kings, queens, jacks, 10s, deuces, you're going to win 3 or 4 times out of 5. You're not going to win 5 times out of 5. It's a fact. And it happens to the other way around as well. You have the 8s, he has the aces, and you hit your 8.
Or you make a straight.
Or you make a straight, or you hit some backdoor flush. You've got to understand it is a game of chance. You're not guaranteed to win with any hand. Outdraws do happen. If it bothers you, then you need to readdress how you're looking at this because A, it's marring your enjoyment. B, it's going to damage your game. Just accept when you go into any competition that you're going to have X number of outdraws. 20% of your hands are going to get outdrawn. They just are. They're the mathematics of it. So you have to come to terms with it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point there from Tony. Just remember that when you are playing a lot of these hands, like you said, a good example is aces against kings or whatever. You are talking about 4 times, like Tony said, 4 times out of 5 you'll win, 1 time out of 5 you won't. Odds are basically 4 to 1, so there you go.
The one way you can get away from it, though, is if you've got a workable stack, then it's not going to kill you. If you're a Billy Low stack and you're all in and the guy covers you, it is going to. So if you have a good enough game and you build your stack up, then you're going to face a few beats, but you survive them.
Yeah, and that's important in today's game, isn't it? Dealing with the beats.
So much. I find it's one of the worst situations that I see again and again. Some guys do struggle to deal with it. Please, please, please try and manage how you cope with it because it's going to do you a lot of damage otherwise.
Yeah, excellent point there.
And it's just going to keep happening. You know, just as it's going to rain tomorrow, it will keep happening.
It's not going to rain though. I've heard it's going to be a sunny day.
It might not.
No, I know. I've heard it's not apparently. But you don't trust the weather people?
I was told you could be difficult.
Only sometimes. You've been speaking to James, haven't you?
No, I've been listening to James.
Okay, cool. Right, I think it's time to have our little phone-in session that we normally do. We're going to be away after that. However, in the meantime, we're going to jump over, and I believe we've got a phone-in today with none other than Mike Lacey.
Lucky blind.
So, let's have a little listen, see if he's there. Hi, and I believe we've got Mike Lacey on the phone. Are you with us, Mike?
I'm here, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Mike. I've also got with me someone that you know very, very well indeed, I believe, Tony TK Kendal.
I know Tony very well. Tony's due one on me now. I think it's his turn to get the best of me.
How are you, Mike?
Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's 1-1 at the moment, and I'm due to score next.
Yep, the replay will be soon, I'm sure.
Now, this is a bit unfair for our viewers, guys. What are we talking about here? What's been going on between you two?
Well, Mike got spectacularly lucky against me in the main event at Blackpool about a fortnight ago.
Okay.
When we shared a table for a good while, had a wonderful evening, good table company, plenty of banter, lots of fun, and almost the last hand of day one, ready to sort of come back to the money, we clashed. And I had pocket tens on a 10-6-2 flop, and the lucky fish beat me with ace-king. Get out of that one.
Right, well, Mike, you have no excuses, I'm afraid. I think you owe Tony a couple of drinks at least.
Yeah, I'll wait for him to buy me the ones he owes me from the time he did me in a similar situation.
All right.
We also shared a table in the semi-final of the Deauville EPT, if I'm not mistaken.
We did, and I think we made the money there, so that was a nice outcome for both of us.
Mike, it's always a pleasure to play with you.
And you, Tony.
All right, no more of this reminiscing, boys. Let's talk some stuff here. We've got a few things I want to talk to you about, Mike. First thing is the recent Showdown Poker Tour at the Gut Shop. I believe you know a little bit about that.
Well, I know we have the second leg happen in Dublin. I believe there was 24 runners in the Gut Shop there, €5,000 entry. From the sounds of it, I think the Dublin event should have a lot bigger field. The Irish people like to play these big events, so I would imagine there'll be a good local contingent contesting for the money, as well as the raiders coming from over the water. I know there's a few big names coming over. A friend of mine, Ben Grundy, emailed me the other day to say he was coming over to play. I'm going to have all the big Irish names there as well, so it should be a much bigger turnout.
Okay, and Ben is Milky Bar boy, isn't he?
Milky Bar
Kid,
yes.
That's the one.
Yeah. How did he get that name, by the way? Is that from the adverts that he used to do when he was a little boy? Was he the one?
If you look at him, he looks like a little boy.
He looks exactly the same as the guy that did the adverts, but no, he wasn't the actual guy that did them.
Oh, he wasn't? Oh, okay.
But
he just likes eating white chocolate.
He's pretended to be
in
certain situations.
Mike, cool. Is this being held at the Fitzwilliam?
It's being held at the Fitzwilliam, which is probably reputed to be one of the best card rooms in Europe. It's run by Luke Ivory, and if you've ever played there, you'd want every card room to be run exactly the same as that. So,
for those that are not aware of it, those that are going across, most of us know the Merrion. The Fitzwilliam is at least 150 yards away. Turn right out the door of the Merrion, turn right at the corner, you're in there.
That's right, and this will be the biggest event the Fitzwilliam has held. It's not been running as long as the Merrion, but as far as poker goes, if you go into Dublin on any night of the week, then that's where the biggest fields are.
Right, now what makes it, you said how wonderful it is there, what makes it so much better than the other card rooms that we sometimes frequent?
It's pretty much just the way it's run, and I'm not saying the other card rooms in Dublin are bad, it's just that the Fitzwilliam is generally outstanding.
Keep digging, Mike.
Luke Ivory, the card room manager there, I think he won the Card Room Manager of the Year award for Europe a few years ago. Everything just runs exactly how it should run. He listens to the players. He knows every single player in that club's name, even if they've only been a member of the club for 15 minutes. They've been a member of the club for 20 years. He knows everybody. It's just a very good place to go and enjoy yourself and play a good game of poker.
Well, so you're obviously going to be playing, I take it?
If I win a ticket, it's a little bit out of my bankroll, especially after the Irish Open a few months ago. And then we have another big €3,000 event in Ireland the week following that at the City West. It's the Irish Poker Championship final. Now
okay. Well, Mike, I'm afraid we're going to have to cut it there. But it's been good speaking with you. And if you can hang on for about an hour or so, we'll see you then.
I will do. I'll speak to you again soon.
All right. Well, that was Mike Lacey, owner of Antes Up. We'll be back shortly after this. Don't go too far. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Prince Charles Banin, and Tony Tea cake, Kendal. How are you, tea cake?
Where do you get tea cake from?
A little source told me, actually.
Yeah, if that gets back to my friends, I'm in terrible trouble. Just please don't ever say that again.
We shall find out what that's all about a little later, no doubt. Anyway, we've got some emails to do for you, and I'll give you a reminder of how to get in contact with the show shortly after that. But in the meantime, do you want to do that one, Tony?
Yeah, we start off with one from a friend of mine, actually, Indestructible. Hi, TK. My question for you is regarding pocket aces. If you have pocket aces early in a tournament and another player has gone all in pre-flop, would you ever fold pocket aces, or is it an automatic call? I was in this spot the other night and I called his all-in move. It turns out the fish had gone all in with only king, queen offsuit. Queen came on the flop, queen came in the river, and I was out. Sorry for raising this bad beat, but we'll be interested to know what a pro would do in this situation.
Well, against one player, there's never a question of a fold. Against two players, there's never a question of a fold. The only time you may fold them is if there are more than two. Three, I find it very hard to fold. And I can't imagine, I find it, I mean, I can tell you about the theory and the reality. The theory is that once you're looking at four players or more, then your aces, you know, they're not even a 50% favourite anymore. So, you know, that's the problem. You can't win against 50%. Plus, the problem, of course, is if the other person has aces as well, one of the others, I see, seen raise, raise, re-raise, 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 and it comes round to you, you've got to put one of them on aces as well, which means you've got no outs at all.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with that. But, you know, that's the theory. However, the reality is, you know, it's very unlikely you fold.
I mean, widen out slightly when you say if there's four callers, you're not favourite. What that means is that you're favourite against each individual hand,
Absolutely.
Of course, but against the four hands, you're not favourite.
No.
You're maybe 50% and they're all 10%.
Yeah.
But against the field, you're only even money or even worse.
You're probably worse, yeah, you're probably worse. I think you're about 45%, 40%, something along those lines.
The question is early in a tournament, so the straight answer is no, you would never fold it. The truth is, if you could see his cards, would you want to get all your chips in?
Yeah.
Of course you would. You have an edge, and sometimes edges aren't good enough. But
Yeah.
yes, it's one of those things, if you bust on it, you bust on it. That's the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things. But there's a theory for you. Against one player, definitely. Against two players, definitely cool. Three players is the sort of the dividing line, I say, for theoretical purposes. Once you get over the three, over the four, then you are, you are starting to be a bit of a dog, and it really depends on you as to, whether you want to go out in that tournament or not.
Yeah, but don't forget there are situations. This specifically said early in a tournament, but there are situations when you would fold aces, particularly in super satellites towards the end.
That's the other time you would fold it. I mean, I folded kings pre-flop to one bet in a super satellite. I had enough chips. There was just no point to continue with it. I had enough chips. I was definitely going to get a ticket if I didn't get involved with any hands. I had kings. The other guy had fours. And I would have won, but there was no point. There's no point getting involved, so I didn't need to knock him out. Anyway, so that was that one. Thanks very much for that, Indestructible. We've got one from Dirty Papa, and Dirty Papa is saying, "Dear Mark and Tea Cake." There you are.
Who?
Dirty Papa.
No, dear Mark and who?
Tea Cake is what he said. So I don't know if he knows something that we don't, perhaps. But my question is for Tony. My question is for Tony Tea Cake Kendal. Oh dear, sorry about that, Tony. You mentioned last week that you played sit and goes professionally and built up a bankroll doing this. Can you tell me more about the stakes that you played and the strategy you had when playing them? Many thanks. Well, there you are, Tony. One directed at you.
Opportunity, actually. We discussed this on the Poker Zone forum. There's a very lively forum there, and I mentioned it last week, and a gentleman put a post on in which he mentioned the variants that I'd had. And the story here is, firstly, being a single man with no wife or children or mortgage, I can start a little higher up the levels, and it is easier to play a 25, 50, 100 or a 200 than it is a 5 or a 10, in my opinion. But I managed to, after losing a lot of money, I might say, playing MTTs online, I found what was the right game for me, which was S&G, sit and goes as they're called. I started playing hundreds, went up to 200s, 500s and then thousands, and my $600 stake eventually went to 27,000.
Wow.
And then in double quick time it went from 27 to something like 10. It went, so I actually lost 15,000 in a period of about a month. Because if you play a lot of them a day, it soon adds up.
Of course, yeah.
Bit of a run. It then went back up to 18, and eventually I think I cashed out 10. One of the lessons there is that when you're on a bad run, sometimes you just have to leave it alone. There's nothing you can do about it. I played a cash game in Vienna the other week, and it was one of those nights I was never going to hit, and I just kept pulling up, pulling up, pulling up. You have to be very brave and say, okay, it's not working for me at the moment, get off the table, give it a break. So there's a great deal of variance in sit and goes. Play the same all the time. If your game is solid, if you've got the right game, you will be okay. But it doesn't matter how well you play, whether it's Phil Helmuth or Dave Colclough against me, if you've got the right game, stick with it and grin and bear it through the bad runs, because they're going to happen.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Tony. Got an email from Frontloader. Do you want to do that one?
Yes, hi guys, great show as always. Been watching it for 4 months, playing for 8, and your advice really helps my game. Please can you tell me your thoughts on slow playing hands? Is it something you regularly do? As the book I'm reading advises against it unless you hit a nut flush draw on the flop. Any help would be gratefully received. Keep up the good work. Slow playing then, Mark.
Okay, slow playing. I'm a little bit more notorious perhaps for slow playing certain hands. I would say that it's this, you've got to look at each individual situation as it is. It's very hard to say, yes, slow play, don't slow play. What I will say is never over slow play. Now, that's the one key that I will always stick by, because you can sometimes overcook it. It really depends, however. Even sometimes I will, on very rare occasions, overplay when I'm convinced I know what the other guy's got. So as long as I know that he's got just a pair and I've got a set, and he's going to need a miracle to overtake me, then I may well slow play to the hill. The other times I would do it is if I'm desperate for chips. If I'm desperate for chips, I will take more risk. More risk equals bigger reward. I don't want to be stuck with my short stack now, so I'm willing to take that chance. But the same token, I might take a bit more of a chance when I'm the big chip leader. So I've got a lot of chips in comparison to the field, and I can afford to take a hit if I do overplay it. But the same token, I can really play it very craftily and hopefully knock 1 or 2 players out and really accumulate even more chips. So they're the 2 times. It's really got to be a question of, are you prepared to take a big risk for a big reward? And you've also got to try as quickly and as certainly as possible to try and put people on the smallest group of hands that they could possibly be holding, so that way you know how far you can take your slow play. But by the same token, you've got to be very careful. We saw earlier a guy with a set of 6s on the, I don't know, something like King, Queen, 6 flop, on all hearts. And then another heart came or something like that. No, another like a 10 came or something. And, that's the time you've got to give up the slow play. It's a nasty looking board, and you can't always slow play these hands.
Yeah, every situation is different. It just depends, and you can't advise on the generalities of it. You've done that quite nicely. I actually use a little mental picture here to help me, and it's nothing to do with poker. It's to do with life in general, but it refers to what we're talking about, slow playing. If you imagine in your mind a dial, and it's a risk-reward dial, and the left-hand side it's no risk, and on the right-hand side it's maximum risk. So when you flop your top set, or you flop your nut flush, if you've got the dial turned to minimum, you stick all your chips in, because you've got the nuts and you don't want to take any risks at all. Everybody's going to go away, they're all going to fold, and you're going to win a small amount. If you turn that dial to maximum, then you slow play to the end, even when the ball comes scary. And what that means is you're going to get paid a lot more if it comes off. However, the risk is greater as well. Risk goes up with reward.
Absolutely.
It goes down when you go safe. So if you're going to play it slow, you are increasing the amount you're going to win substantially. But equally, you're improving the risk that you're going to lose the hand. So it's a very simple equation. The higher the risk, the greater you win. The less the risk, the less you win.
Yeah.
Simple
and
as that.
And like Tony said, you've got to put it as for every individual situation. If you're at, you're in the final of a tournament and you're lowest on chips, still pretty healthy, but lowest on chips, and the prize money is 1/50th of what it is for first prize, that might be worth taking a risk in order to try and get into that group, into that top echelon. So,
like every situation in poker, there's never a hard and fast rule. It just depends on the situation.
Okay.
Just remember that risk-reward thing.
Yeah, good point. Got one here from Dewey Cool, and Dewey Cool is Question here for you, TK. He's saying, Dear TK, being a relative newcomer to the game, can you please explain to me how a flush can beat a straight? When I used to play three-card brag, it was always the straight that won. I'm also having a few problems with the blinds. Do you think this might be a problem for me going forward? Thanks.
Well, do you recall, if I may say so, is a Welsh gentleman.
Oh, you know who he is, do you?
Who works for a Scottish power company. How about that?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, so he's doing well. He's a wonderful, wonderful man as well. I don't quite know how he answered this question. Brag and poker aren't related, as I suspect he well knows.
Yeah.
They are different games completely, so forget one.
One way of answering it, Tony, is pretty straightforward. The odds of hitting a straight is 76 to 1. The odds of hitting a flush, or flopping a flush, should I say, or flopping a straight, 76 to 1 for a straight, 118 to 1 for a flush. So pure, based on odds alone, you're going to find it a lot harder to hit that flush. So there you go. Hope that helps on that one. Right, let me give you some ways of... We've got lots of emails to go through. However, let me give you ways of getting through to me and Tony. Tony's with us tonight. Special guest, there it is. Text the word poker to 84222. Don't forget to put the word in poker. Put the word poker in. Don't forget to put your question in, followed by your name. As well as that, you can also email the show poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. So it's time we had a break from the emails and had a look at multi-table tourney to see what's been going on there. Okay, so let's have a little look what's been going on here. I'll give you some info on this very, very shortly. Okay, here we go. Some info for you, boys. Right, here we go. We've got 121 entrants in here, Tony. They're playing across 16 tables. The blinds go up every 12 minutes, and only the top 3 get paid. Now, you might wonder, well, what is the entrance for this? Guess what? It's a freebie. It's a free roll.
Well, that's excellent.
So that's nice. So we've got some interesting prizes here.
Nice clock as well.
12 minutes, not a bad clock, yeah. Here you are. Here's the prizes on offer. Third prize is a T-shirt, a CD, and $20. That's prize 3.
Yep.
I think you've won one of these prizes before, haven't you? I've got a sworn I've seen you walking down with your CD and your T-shirt on, walking down. I think it was in Barcelona, actually.
Yeah, I finished a very impressive 6th of 8th in one of these of the week, I know that.
Also, second prize is an iPod Nano, and first prize is the chef's table at the Hyatt. So there you go, some nice little prizes there, and should be a nice first prize. I like that first prize. The second prize is quite nice. Not too sure about the T-shirt and CD, mind you, but certainly it's better than kick up the Jacksy.
Well, it's as much about winning and doing well as it is about the prize money in many cases. Bragging rights are all, so it's important for anybody to win this. And we have blinds at 25.50 right at this minute. So action is fairly quiet. We have some interesting names on here. L Pig in seat 1, Eddie Newman seat 2, TEMH in 3, Masterson, or as they'd say up north, Masterson in seat 4. Can't quite read. What does that say in seat 5, Mark?
In seat 5, that's Farce.
Farce.
Mr. Farce.
Well,
you nearly tried to get me at it. Will you behave, Tony? You've only been here 5 minutes. You're up to your old tricks, huh?
Magic Track in seat 6. 1, 2, 3, JC, 3, 2, 1 in 7, and is that Hedge 666 in 8?
It is, yeah. So we've got some interesting players on this table. So also, for those of you wanting to know how to get to play one of these free rolls, there's some information on our website, I believe, about it. But in the meantime, just to give you an idea on the prizes for next week, these are obviously every week. They're going to be featured on Poker Night Live. Next week's prize will be, listen to this.
I'm listening.
We've got the T-shirt for third.
The T-shirt. Don't
the
forget
T-shirt
the T-shirt and the CD.
And the CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No expense spared here. We've got second prize is very nice actually. I might fancy this myself. I might fancy the second prize. Sony PSP.
Oh, that's like a TV, is it, or a?
No, Sony PSP. It's like those games,
Oh,
handheld games.
Yes, I knew that. Yes.
And first prize is very nice as well. $1,000, $1,000.
Wow.
So very nice indeed for a free roll. You don't get that very often. So I'm sure they'll be getting some nice players playing that one. We'll get with a first prize of $1,000. So don't forget to keep those emails rolling. If you've got any questions for me or Tony, you know the number, you know the email address, give us a shout. We're going to be with you till 2 o'clock this morning. Or if you're watching the repeat, then it'll be a little later than that. Of course, if you've only caught part of the show and you do want to watch it again, we do repeat it 2 or 3 times following day. I think it gets repeated around 4 o'clock in the morning for 4 hours, and then again at around 10 o'clock, and there's one more showing later on that afternoon. Have a look at the TV schedule and it's be on there. Okay, we'll just watch this last hand in play, and then let's have a look at who else is on some of these other tables. Okay, so I think Fast is guaranteed to take this. There's no card that can come for El Pig that will help him win this, apart from split the pot with another 8 or an ace. Doesn't come, so Fast takes it by virtue of his king.
That was drawing dead, I think.
Yeah, drawing dead to a split pot, that was it.
Pretty thin split pot as well.
Yeah, absolutely, very thin indeed.
Now we have Mad Twisted here with a little pair.
Oh, look at this, Tony. Who is this we have in seat 8 here? MB Chick. No relation to me, am I?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Mad Twisted, Pov?
Yeah, so Mad Twisted, he's got a few chips. Oh, look, he's not wasting any time, is he, with his king queen?
He's a little aggressive, isn't he?
Yeah, just a little. Let's have a look what he gets up to.
It's not.
So you're going to be playing I'll Beat the Presenter tonight, Tony, aren't you?
It would appear so.
Okay, good luck there. So we're going to leave Tony to do that, and I'll take over the commentary here. Now, if you're wondering, TK is playing under 007. Why does he call himself 007? Do you know? James, you know James pretty well, don't you?
I do know James pretty well. I don't know why he calls himself that, because mate, he does look a little bit like Sean Connery.
Does he?
Possibly.
Sean Connery? Is there more than one then, is there?
No, he was in James's day when he was a young man. Sean Connery was the big star.
I know Sean Connery.
There you go. Same initials as well. James Bond.
Okay.
James Browning, JB007.
Okay. That's his excuse, isn't it?
By the way, in case anybody asks, I have no chat facility on this.
You don't have any chat?
No, I've been chat disabled. Mr. Browning must have been naughty at some stage.
You've been chat disabled? What does it say?
It was. We don't know what happened.
So back to the game in question. We have King 2 all in. Oh, he's hit his king. Looks pretty ominous for him there when that 3 came down, but he picked up a few chips out. Mad Twisted, who was all in anyway on that particular hand. So Mad Twisted is now big chip leader. 11,000. Well, Paul Bain again moving all in, and he's pretty much doubled up there. I don't know how Poker Spicken could throw that away for an extra 100. He was getting 3.5 to 1 his money. Really, you just can't throw it away, I'm afraid. But he did. If he was very short stacked, I can understand, but he wasn't. He had 2,500. It wasn't 100 to win 3.5. He's unlikely, unless the guy's got aces or kings or a big hand, he's not going to be 3.5 to 1 dog against most hands. So against any hand really, apart from a big pair, an overpair to him, which he didn't have. So in fact, he was a very slight underdog. About 60-40, I think, if I remember the cards correctly. So we've got Mad Twisted with the Queen 4. I'm sure he's not going to do anything with that. Oh, he does. Wow, look at that. Spoke too soon. He's running over this table, isn't he? He's just raising and raising, and no one is taking him on. Oh, look, we've got 2 lozenges there. Never seen 2 before. Well, they're playing fast and furious here, aren't they? They're folding very quickly. Mad Twisted is going to say, OK, well, I'll raise again. I've got a feeling that, yeah, I'm right. I think, I'm pretty sure that these guys are sitting out for some reason. They're not there. Mad Twisted is on his own, pretty much. Yeah, he is. That's what's happening. So, while we watch Mad Twisted just build up his stack. So we can't say for sure that he's sitting away, but I'm sure he must be. So yep, let's head over to another table. And he's folded that because obviously poker's spicking. He realised he's not sitting out. So, well, he called some few chips there. There's a bit of luck for Mad Twisted. I was wondering how he kept getting away with that little silly raise of his. And there we are. So, 8-5, and that's of course what happens in online poker. If you don't decide to sit away, use up the free roll, what happens in a lot of cases, some people register for the free roll and then they just decide that they want to go out instead. They go out for the night, forget about the free roll, and as it doesn't cost them anything, they're not losing anything. And if they do happen to remember, then they carry on playing. For some people, like Mad Twisted, it does work out very nicely when the majority of your table, if not all of it, is sitting out. So it worked out very nicely. He's now got a huge chip lead. Let's see if he can translate that. In the meantime, we've got Toofy, who's in seat 9. And he decides not to play with his 6-9 suited. And lucky for him, because he would have walked into a pair of jacks there on the big blind. I'm a fish. There's going to be a lot of trouble if he decides to do anything here. He's not. And Monarch, as I call him, takes it. Well, those jacks have reappeared. This time I'm a fish has got them. It's moved 1 place to the right. And, well, he's playing it quite aggressively, 600 into a 150 pot. 6 times a big blind, that's pretty aggressive for a pair of jacks. Don't mind, I think it's a little bit on the heavy side, because at the end of the day, it's a decent hand. You do want to try and get some value out of it, and just winning the blinds is probably not enough with a pair of jacks. Well, 2 ace-kings here. Now, what's Sophie going to do? He's decided that he thinks his ace-king is good, and it's now definitely going to be a split pot. And they both got kings. In fact, they've got 7s full of kings. Okay, so only 2 players on that table. Let's see if we can find a table with a few more players. Okay, so we've got ace-jack against a farce. Well, he's hit top pair. That could be trouble. He's now going to let him bet it. He doesn't realise how good shape he's in his farce. He's got an overpair to the board. He's got his... and Hedge thinks he's actually got the best hand here. And that might slow Hedge down, but I think it's too late for that now. He's just got to hope that... oh, look at that. He's hit it on the end, and farce is, well, terribly unlucky to go out with the kings there. He was way ahead, had it all going his own way, and in the end, it was not to be. Cowboys got taken down by some Indians. So, queens there for Magic Rat. Ace-jack for 1, 2, 3. Well, all sorts of hands here developing. We've got a flush draw, but no one can really like that king on that board. So let's see. Well, Magic Rat is wondering whether TEMH actually has the king. He must think he has. He's got one person behind him. He can't call, I don't think. He's probably got to let it go, and he has. And that's good discipline there for Magic Rat. I think that's the right play, regardless of the fact that he was in the lead. And 1, 2, 3 says, well, I've got an overcard, I've got a flush draw. I'm pretty happy with my hand. And in the end, 1, 2, 3 won it with his flush. Very nice indeed. And Magic Rat got away with losing probably about the minimum there. So well done to Magic Rat on that one. Not easy to lay that hand down, but he did. Very good discipline indeed. And that's the thing you want to do about this game. Where possible, you want to lose the least and win the most, and that's the trick. In some cases, it can be much more difficult to actually lose the least, and that can be the hardest part of poker sometimes. But look at this hand. We've got Jack Queen on the button. He won't give this up. And L Pig is sitting there with kings. How's he going to play it? Will he make a minimum raise? Or will he... he's pretty much made the minimum raise, just slightly more. And, oh, he could be in trouble again. The Kings has managed to seduce 1, 2, 3 into a call. And he's now, 1, 2, 3, has now hit top pair with a 3-card straight. Won't be too mad about the 3-card straight bit, but he certainly likes the top pair. Oh, look at that. It's happened again. The Kings has lost out. He's even hit a set this time, and it's still no good. Well, what must you do in this game to win with a pair of Kings? No good. God, that was nasty for L Pig. Very nasty indeed. And he usually does well in these, L Pig, but when he hit a set and you still lose, not a lot you can do, L Pig. Very, very unfortunate. Anyway, I'm going to let you get on with that playing TK.
Thank you.
Or do you prefer your new name? Which one shall I use?
No, stick to T. Forget the other one. Which other one?
Okay, let's go for this one here. Okay, let's just see. Right, I've got one here from Ironside. We know who Ironside is, don't we?
We know Ironside is.
I'm
afraid we do, yes.
Yeah, we do. Sorry, Ironside. No, it's not quite the welcome you would have liked, but what can we do? We know Ironside, sigh. I think you've pulled the lever too far the other way after my win last week in 5 hands on 2 tables. I ran into aces 3 times and kings and queens along with sitting with a 6 heads up, sorry, sits HU heads up via Ian Bradley. Don't know what that all means, on a king 6-4 king 6 board. Can I get the lever put back to the quads, please? What do you reckon?
No.
No, I'm sorry. The lever is what happens, you know. We'd like to have a bit of fun with you every now and again, so the lever has to be swung that way. You know, we've got to torment you a little bit, Ironside, haven't we? We've got to have a little bit of fun. I don't get to play with you much nowadays, so, you know, at least this is our way of having a fun. Anyway, sorry. So, obviously, Ironside, for those of you wondering what's going on, is talking about the lever on his misfortune. Oh God, is it good fortune for other people? Who knows? Anyway, we're going to leave those emails there because I'm sure TK would like to get involved with some of these questions. So without further ado, let me give you some contact details. If you want to get in contact with the show and you want to hear TK give you some of his responses, or myself for that matter, here's the way to do it. Text the word poker to 84222. There it is on your screen. Put your question in, put your name at the bottom, and me or TK will ring it out. Alternatively, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. That's the email address. You know what it is. I don't need to keep reminding you of it. Poker@pokernightlive. Why don't you send us an email? And myself and TK love to hear from you. We've got till 2 o'clock to answer all and every one of your questions, so send them in. In the meantime, we're going to head over to a cash game. We've had a single table tournament. We've had a little bit of a multi-table. Let's head over to the cash game now. So, 50 cent $1 cash game is what we're viewing. Now, just talking about that multi-table, the one thing that you will find is that the players won't go out that quickly. Now, you might think that's a bit strange for a free roll, and the reason being is because a lot of them aren't sitting there. All that's happening is they're getting blinded away, which obviously takes a while to do. So it means that you'll find people dropping off, but all of a sudden, after a certain period of time, a whole bunch of people will just disappear because they're all getting blinded away more or less at the same time. So you find that all of a sudden they just start falling thick and fast, and we're left with you know, just a small group, maybe around 20 or so people out of the 117. So they'll all happen very quickly, but it will happen all at once rather than a gradual drop off. So in the meantime, we're watching a 50 cent $1 cash game. Maximum buying for this is $100. Minimum buying is $10, so, or anything in between. We've got 1 or 2 regulars here. Snap It, Johan Haren, and few regulars on these tables that we see. A couple of them. Of course, you're wondering how comes the likes of Dirty Nell, Loosey Goosey, Snap It, Howley, look at his stack, wow. Scab and Johan are all sitting over 100. Well, what's happened is that they've taken it from other players on the table. Now, it doesn't look like there's too many players that have lost that kind of money, so I'd guess that a few of the seats have been refilled or restocked up, which is where that extra money's come from. But Howley is doing tremendously well. To have almost 3 times the buy-in is pretty good. Pretty good. If you can get anything over 50% the buy-in, it's pretty good. So he's doing really well. As is some of the others. Loosey Goosey is doing pretty well, about 2 times the buy-in, as is Dirty Nell. And Snap It and Johan and Scab all show nice profits for their evening's work so far. So, talking about profits, Go Sapper, on the assumption that he started with 100, now moves over that threshold. And he's on that 102, so showing a couple of bucks profit, so he's in the black. Well, we're seeing a cash game being played live on the internet. These players are generally can be playing from any part of the world. Not sure where they're all based. I think Johan is one of our Scandinavian contingent. Snap It's here in the UK, and the others I'm not sure where they are. Quite funny, I was looking the other day at where some of these players were from, and I remember in one seat there was some, I can't remember the exact country, but it was somewhere in the Middle East, one of the Arab countries. You had an Israeli guy playing, you had someone from the States, a Chinese guy, and an Australian, all on the same table. It just shows you. Incredible, world has shrunk. It's funny to see that group of players all playing a game of cards together. You won't catch that often, sitting across the table one another. Not peacefully anyway. There you go. Poker brings people together. It is a social game, and it's a lot of fun, especially if you play it live as well. Can be a lot of fun. Well, Johan likes his pair of 8s, doesn't want to give it up. He's under the gun, comes out with a nice bet. I like the bet of 4. 3 or 4 is okay there. 350 is even a good bet. But supposed to be a little bit on the heavier side than normal. Why? He's in early position. He needs to make a big question. Doesn't want to make it too heavy because it suggests if it's too heavy that the hand is what it is, a small pair. Which obviously a small pair generally is quite susceptible to any flop, which is why you tend to make that board, that bet a little bigger. Well, Loosey Goosey is going to see if she can take this away from Johan. If she hits an ace or a 10. Bit of a strange call that, really. I think I would have preferred just to throw it away in that situation. Well, look at that. Johan's hit a great board. The only problem is it's 3 hearts, and he's not going to get rid of Lucy, who has a flush draw. So this is one of the hands where you don't want to slow play. You've got no heart in your hand, and yet you've got a fantastic hand, a set of 8s. No possible straight out there. And that's he's quite happy about that now. He's now got the full house. Unfortunately for Lucy, she's got nothing but ace high. And Johan is now praying that Lucy has got... sorry, Lucy's actually got top pair. So what am I talking about? Didn't see that there. I was looking for the flush only. And Lucy's wondering now, and that's a decent fold there by Lucy. And Johan, had he actually... just decided to make it 30 or so, he probably would have got paid by Lucy there. So by being greedy, he didn't get paid on that occasion. Lucy didn't want to pay him. But I think he was probably praying that she's either hit 2 pair or she's either hit flush. And that's really what he was counting. He was praying that she's hit a flush, and that maybe she was slow playing him. So he was praying that she hit the flush. Of course, we can see it didn't come. So look, this could be a bit of trouble for Johan. And I'm surprised he hasn't led out here to find out where he's at. I think if he puts out a bet of 250, something like that, it's giving him indication as to where he's at, because Howley can make a play here with absolutely nothing. Now, unless Johan has decided to check raise, let's see. If he gets out a minimum check raise, he might get an answer. Let's see what happens though. No, he check called. I don't like replaying, I must admit. I prefer, you're in a situation where check calling is going to cost you a lot of money. You have no redraw, that's the problem. We have a little bit of a redraw here, but it's not a particularly good one. So, check call, well, Howley won't like this too much either. But you're just fortunate that Howley didn't prize a few more chips out of you. I think I would have liked to have come out with a bet, around the pot size bet, maybe a bit less, and be playing very carefully from that point, or even a minimum check raise to see what my opponent does. If the opponent is still interested in the hand, then I'll probably just give it up. How you doing, Tony? All
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
Still playing?
No, not exactly, no.
Okay, not exactly. All right, we won't say any more than that. We shall see. Well, we've got set up forward for Scab, and he's thinking whether to flat call or to re-raise. And he might well think that Ghost Zapper's now committed, and I think that's probably the right play here. Yeah. I think Ghost Zapper was pretty much pot committed, he felt, so Scab decided there was no point slow playing. If he, just in case he is on a draw with 10 jack or something along those lines, I might as well try and get him to put his money in while he's still got a draw, rather than try to get him to put his money in once he's missed it. So I think he played it well there. Scab, well done. And Scab is now encroaching on Howley's chip lead. Of course, chip leads here don't mean quite as much as they do in tournaments, because at the end of the day, you can always put your hand back in your pocket and dig out another $100 if you lose it. But it does mean that you have got to be, the likes of Howley, does have to be a little bit more wary of playing with Scab. For the simple reason that Scab can take out all his night's profit, whereas the likes of the Phantom or Loosey Goosey, or Snap It for argument's sake, can only damage him somewhat, whereas Scab can practically clean him out. So, and turn what was a very profitable night into a disaster. So that's why he's got to play it a little bit more carefully with Scab, and vice versa, of course. Scab has to play very carefully with Howley, because he can turn what is a good night into a bad night if he plays it too loose. So we've got some emails building up, Tony.
Yeah, when you're ready.
So we'll be doing those emails very shortly. I've got quite a few to go through. Well, you're obviously very popular, Tony. We don't usually get as many emails as this. So I think it's because you're here.
I don't think popular is the word, but infamous maybe.
Infamous? No, I don't think you've got anything to be infamous about.
I don't think popular is the word.
Not yet, anyway. So the Phantom 66 got his ace jack. Oh, he's. I don't like the call there. That's a big amount of money that he's calling with ace jack suited. I know it's suited, but you know it is a significant part of your money to try and call with ace jack suited. You know, the suitedness doesn't change that much. The hand value, you know, adds about 3% to the hand. Not a great deal. Now, he's got a question, and there you go. Ace King decided, well, if you can beat this, if you've got a queen, then that's just bad luck. I can't imagine you've got a 4 or 6. So I only have to worry about you having a pocket pair. You've checked it, so it means it's unlikely you've got a pocket pair unless you're slow playing a monster. If you're slow playing a monster, then that's just my bad luck. Well, look at this. He's been rewarded with ace queen. How's he going to play this? Well, he's linked in. you play ace queen under the gun, Tony? Like that? To limp in with it?
Early in the tournament, I'd limp with it.
In a cash game?
Not in a cash game, no.
No, what would you do? Raise?
No, I'd raise it up, see where we are. Depends so much on the cash game. I've sat in a few cash games lately where it doesn't matter what the holdings are, everybody's going to call. You know, it's a bit weird when you sit in a 1-2 cash game and every hand it gets raised to 5 or 10 and everybody calls. That, to me, is not poker, that's bingo. And, we're playing at the wrong level. I like to play the cash game properly. I'm not good enough to play it any other way.
Well, this is interesting because Howley's called with the ace-queen there. And this is part of the problem, isn't it? When you limp in under the gun, and you just, you call the, was it a called bet? 12, 18, so that means it was 16 in the pot. 7, yeah, it was 7, 14, yeah, it was, yeah. So it was just a called bet. So that's the problem, because Howley has no idea where he's at now. Whereas had he have raised...
This is the old thing we mentioned earlier about finding out where you are.
Yeah.
Doesn't know where he is.
No. And...
I'm afraid this is going to be a train crash.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we see a picture card, it'll be very interesting, that's for sure.
One thing's for sure, Lucy doesn't want to hit his or her king.
Yeah, they want to avoid each other's cards, don't they, basically?
In fact, there'll be a split if he does, because Phantom gets some of it.
If he sticks around, yeah. Well, that doesn't change anything. 3 diamonds, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, not quite a straight. 4 card straights don't count.
It's dangerous to know that it's possible that Howley might get off this, because there's so many draws out there.
It depends what the bet is. I don't think he's going to get off it, because I was going to say the bet is not going to be that big. Lucy's scared herself, so she only wants to put a stop bet in there.
Correct.
So, yeah, it would have been very hard for him to escape that one, I think, without losing a few chips. But there's a reason why I like Tony, wouldn't like to not slow play, but limp with ace-queen. I'd rather put out a little bet. I'd rather lose, you know, and if I start getting a big re-raise from the guy who now wants to re-raise me with ace-king, you know, I'm thinking ace-queen, what am I going to hit with this flop? You know, a pair of queens, a pair of aces. Am I still in the lead with, you know, with those hands? So it doesn't make very much.
Define the opposition's hand.
Yeah. And the other thing to remember, Tony, is hitting a straight with ace-queen. A lot of people don't realise, but it's over 300 to 1. To flop a straight with ace-queen, you know, it's nowhere near like flopping a straight with 7-8, for example, is 76 to 1, but flopping it with ace-queen is over 300 to 1. So
you're obsessed with 7-8, aren't you?
7-8's a lovely hand.
Isn't Jack-10 better?
No, not 7-8, no, of course not. How can you say it's better? 7-8's a wonderful hand. The problem with Jack-10, when you're playing Jack-10, you're usually up against other people with picture cards, so they've got your outs for your straight.
But when they hit...
Anyway, let's move quickly on. And of course, so the only problem with Jack-10, it's a typical hand that people play, so it is much more readable for a straight. When it board comes ace, king, queen, and you get excited, and they can see you getting excited, they think, 10 Jack is quite a strong possibility here. Anyway, that's my reasoning. So, we've got lots of emails to get through. So, are you ready, Tony?
Yep, ready when you are.
Okay, here's one. This one is from Drum Ace, who has been on our forum, and he's getting a bit of coaching from Ramchip, by the way, who he's mentioned is a great guy.
Can we mention that Ramchip was on one of the tournament tables last week?
Was he?
Played fantastic.
Did he indeed? Okay.
Absolutely outplayed the table, and he gets his name, to my surprise, from the fact that he lives in Derby, and of course the football team there.
The Rams. Absolutely. Excellent stuff. Okay. Hey there, Mr. MB and Tony. Your email last week regarding my 100 single table tournaments test, okay, yeah, I remember, was much appreciated. Your comments were to play slightly looser, and although I do appreciate your comments, I'm actually going to play even tighter than before. I'm surprised JB hasn't even commented, even though it was him that suggested to play 100 games to get an overall view of my play. My question is, how do you play American Air? How do you play the aces? I have seen aces 3 times today and lost every time. I had them in late position, and I raised 8 times a big blind. One player called and the flop was queen high. I went all in as I committed most of my stack, and he called and showed queen 8. The turn was an 8 and I lost. Could I have played this any other way? Slow play to me has more chances of losing as there would be more callers. Or was the guy who called 8 times a big blind raise a bit of a nutter as he had queen 8, and the overall he will lose playing and calling with those kind of hands? Keep up the good work. You're very unlucky, first of all. And the first thing to say is very unlucky in that situation. The problem is when you're playing the hand in that kind of way, you're making such a big initial raise pre-flop, and if you don't have the chips to scare him off on the flop, He's now committed to the pot, isn't he? So that's the problem with when you overbet the flop. When you overbet it pre-flop.
Yeah, I mean, if there can be any criticism there, it's that the overbet before the flop suggests weakness, suggests that you don't want to call, that you haven't got much of a hand. But we mentioned this before, aces do get beat, they're going to get beat. It is just a fact of life, you have to learn to deal with it. Essentially, you didn't do anything wrong, the bloke got lucky. If you could see his cards before the hand, aces against queen eight, do you want him to call? Of course you do. But it goes wrong sometimes, but most times it's going to go right. 4 times out of 5 at least, your hand's going to be good. So the fact that they get busted now and then is just one of those things. Remember this, a bad call is a good call. If the bloke makes a bad call, 6, 7 times out of 10 you're going to say, woohoo, I've got him.
Yeah.
I've trapped him. Once or twice he's going to do you, but remember the other 6 or 7 times, a bad call's a good call.
Yeah. And in fact, with something like queen eight, I think it's around 9 times out of 10 you're going to win against aces against queen eight, so it's very high.
So the 9 times you win with the aces against queen eight, remember them. Some idiot called you with queen eight.
Yeah.
The one time he actually beats you, you have to say, well, okay, that's his turn.
Yeah, that's his turn. Although in this case, he's had 3 turns, hasn't he? He's lost 3
well,
times with them. But
that's the way it goes. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
very unfortunate.
So it'll be interesting to see how he plays. He's going to play even tighter. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, you must play how you feel comfortable playing. That's the most important thing about poker. Play according to your strengths and your personality. Thanks very much for that. We've got one from Gaffer. Do you want to do that one, Tony?
Yes. Hi guys. I was recently at a tourney at my local casino, and there were a few players who got a bit leery and had too much to drink. There was also one guy who had to carry out McSomething and managed to spill a banana milkshake. I'm a little suspicious about this. A banana milkshake over the table, which was disgusting. What's your opinions on drinking at the table, and what is the worst thing you have seen spilled on a poker table? Kind regards.
Well,
it's an original question, isn't it?
Yeah, blood perhaps, but no. Well, in the UK, most of the times you're not allowed to put drinks on the table, so they actually prevent you. Having said that, in the States, it's actually quite the opposite. You are allowed to put drinks on the table, so you do get the odd coffee spillage and hot chocolate and stuff like that, but I think I've seen once hot chocolate being spilt over the table, but that's about it. Yeah, so it doesn't happen very often. They usually have those holders, don't they, which dig underneath the felt.
I think every casino should ban food and drink from a poker table. They are a poker table for cards. You put drinks or food on there, grease or moisture gets onto the table, it gets onto the cards. It's a bad thing, it's bad discipline. It's actually the fault of the card room manager or supervisor for allowing it.
Yeah, but they do allow it in the States, as you know. Happens quite a lot, doesn't it? The World Series and all the other places.
It does. I still think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I just don't think it should be allowed. I'm a bit of a grumpy old man about these sort of things. Keep your food off the table, please.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Okay, thanks very much for that. We've got an email from Ollie, and Ollie is saying, "Hi there, I'm a new fan of the show and just wanted to share something with you. Would be great to get your thoughts. Thanks very much for the email, first of all, Ollie. I'm still a fairly new online player, but I've managed to build up a fairly decent bankroll, and so at the moment I'm playing 25 cent, 50 cent no-limit tables. Okay, not a bad starting point. I'm finding more and more of these lower limit tables that people will call with any 2 cards. I'm constantly raising pre-flop with good hands, but I'm getting called with rubbish. Now, I will say that's one of the reasons that perhaps when you're tight, what's going to happen? When they recognise you're tight and they feel that tight players generally give out better implied odds, don't they? Just cutting that email for a moment.
That's right. I mean, the other thing about this, if you're on a table where everybody's going to call every raise, then perhaps you have to adjust your strategy a little. At the end of the day, ace-king is, there's various ways of playing it, but late in a tournament or with a lot of money on the table, it's a bullion hand. But there isn't any reason why you can't limp with it. It just costs you a blind to limp with it. And these guys are coming in with 10-3 and queen 8 and whatever rubbish it is. Hit your flop, then you're going to get paid nicely. Miss your flop, you've got to wait for the price of a blind.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting stuff because it's an interesting point you've brought out, because I remember playing in a World Series, sorry, not in a World Series, in a World Series in a cash game. And all of a sudden, I noticed this problem. Everyone was calling all the time. So I changed. After the first couple of sections, I lost money by playing because they weren't, I was getting 5 or 6 callers every time. So in the end, I just stopped playing that way. I just decided to limp in. I would limp in with queens, and all of a sudden, guess what? Queens are now paying me fortunes because I'm limping in with all the time.
Adjust to the table.
I've never had queens pay me so much. So there you go. So that's the way to change. If it's happening, change your game. That's poker. Poker's about adapting to the situation, and that's what you've got to do nowadays. Adapt to the players. In the meantime, we're going to head over to Mike Lacey, who I believe is on the line. We're going to certainly get hold of him. So let's head over there and see if he's around. And there you are. You thought I'd gone away for a long time, but I'm back. Back within a flash. Anyway, we've got Mike Lacey back on the phone, and hopefully he's still there. Are you still hanging on, Mike?
I'm still here, Mark, yeah.
Excellent stuff. Now, just before we went last time, we were talking about the Showdown Poker Tour in the Fitzwilliam, and you were saying how well the card room was run. Is it one of the best card rooms in Europe?
I would say so. I've not been to all of them yet, but from speaking to people who have travelled the circuit more than I have, then it certainly appears that way. Although I'd say the card room in Blackpool that I was at the other week for the tournament there, that would come a close second. That was very efficient, very well run card room too, and excellent structures in the tournaments, which is another key thing for a card room, is how the structures suit the tournaments that are being held there.
Sure. I mean, that's quite an important subject nowadays. Now, the funny thing is, though, Mike, I don't know what your feelings are about this and what yours are, Tony, but there are so many different structures bandied about now, aren't there? You're getting ones with 10,000 chips and 45-minute clocks, 10,000 chips hour clocks, 15,000 hour. You know, there's so many different ones. I mean, is that the way it should be, or would that just make it boring if they were all the same?
I think if we had some structure to poker, some governing body, we would grade tournaments, and grade A tournaments, the equivalent of a top horse race, a Group 1 horse race, would have a known and anticipated structure that we could learn to play to. And a Group 2 race or a Grade 2 competition would have another tournament. We go to one event in the UK, and they start at 25.50 but miss out 75 150 and 150 300 and move the clocks around. Yeah. I know that when we go...
I know what you're talking about, Tony.
Yeah, I know when we go to City West at the beginning of June for the big championship there, they have pre-published the structure, which includes 75 150 and 150 300. They've guaranteed 1 hour all the way. We're not going to get a poker governing body, but in the meantime, I do think we should have some symmetry to the structures. Right.
Yeah, because it is very much all over the place. And would there be a problem about making them all very similar, Mike, do you think? If, would it stop the card rooms getting creative?
I don't think it would stop the card room getting creative, and it would probably bring more business. There is a need for different structures for different tournaments, but by different tournaments, I mean a different structure from a one-day event or a one-evening event to a two-day event and a three-day event and so on. But yeah. If one card room can put in a good structure for a 2 or 3 day event, and another card room runs an event over the same amount of time with the same amount of players and totally messes it up, that's where the situation definitely needs looking at.
Yeah. You see, I mean, one of the things that I found was I played in Brighton sort of about 12, 13 months ago, or so, no, about 18 months ago. And the thing I liked about Brighton is that the impression I got about how they run their card room there, I was very pleased with the way they run the tournament. It wasn't a fantastic structure, but it was an okay structure. But they did, obviously, I got the impression they really did care and they were prepared to change things. So much so that, I got onto the final table with about a little above average chips. And they reduced the blinds so that we actually had something like 40 times the big blind, which is great for a full-handed table. It gives you some play, and it means that you're not, involved in a crapshoot at that early stage. And because of that, you could have a bit of play, and that was really nice. And a lot of times you go to these places, and they're just not prepared to do that.
That's right. The manager at the card room at Brighton is very keen to make sure proper poker was played, and so set the blinds back to ensure it could happen, and more people need to do that.
Yeah, that happens a lot in the Fitzwilliam at the final tables. The blinds would be frozen. To be honest, in a casino it's easy enough to do. In Ireland there's a lot of tournaments that are not held in casinos, so they sometimes can be restricted by the time that they have to finish. But if you've got all night to play the tournament, which is what the casinos have here, the Fitzwilliam's open 24 hours a day, so there is the opportunity there to say, right, well, when we reach the final table, we'll freeze the blinds for the first hour or so until there's less players and the average chips a lot more than the blinds, and then we can start moving on again. So
yeah. Well, Mike, I'm afraid it's that time again. I'm going to have to cut you short. But thanks very much for hanging around with us. I've got one more segment to do in about an hour's time, so if you can just hang with us.
I will do.
Excellent stuff. That was Mike Lacey talking to us, and obviously I'm here with Tony TK Kendal. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break, so don't go too far away. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Prince Charles Banin, and Mr. El Blondie himself. Well, one of the El Blondies, aren't you?
Old Blondie, I think.
Old Blondies, okay, I must remember that one. Tony TK Kendal, not Tea Cake. Remember that, whoever it was that sent that one in. Right, I've got some emails to get through. You want to do that one, Tony?
Yeah, we have one from Double Top, who I believe is a frequent correspondent.
Yeah,
Hi, Mark
Steve.
and Steve.
His name is, yeah.
Wow.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve, how are you? Hi, Mark and TK. I've studied the effectiveness of 7-8 versus King-Queen, and I hate to say they are both losing hands overall for me. Let's just put this in its context. Two of our presenters have this rather peculiar obsession with particular hands. Mr. Browning likes King-Queen, and Mr. Banin here likes 7-8. So there's no accounting for taste. So that's where this email is coming from. It's these two hands, 7-8 and King-Queen. Steve has looked at his last 20,000 STT, that's single table tournament, and MTT, multi-table tournament, hands, no cash games in that 20,000, and here are the results. And he goes on to list the effectiveness. King-Queen suited, on average I lose 288.92. Is that money?
Well, they're cash games.
Chips,
so they're not cash
chips.
games, so I don't know what that is. I presume it's chips, but
yeah, it doesn't actually mean anything to me because I don't know what stage of the tournament.
Yeah.
But in essence, what he's saying is that with King-Queen suited, he loses quite a lot. With King-Queen unsuited, he loses quite a lot, but a little less. On 7-8 suited, he loses a little bit, and on 7-8 unsuited, he loses a bit more. And I guess, you know, I don't suppose, being a reasonably competent player, he plays 7-8 too often, so that would account for the fact, perhaps, that he doesn't lose so much with 7-8.
Yeah.
I now think I may have to filter some of these figures, as these are the types of hands I push all in with when I get low chipped. I'm going to filter out all the hands where I was all in and recalculate the figures for 7-8 and King-Queen and normal play. I think 7-8 is a better hand, but I'm more likely to bin King-Queen before the flop. Every time I get the 7-8, I stand up and call praise for the Banin. Well, firstly, before I pass this to Mark to answer, I have to say one thing here. Statistics lie. You can get very confused by it. You can get yourself in a knot with statistics. It just depends where you are and what stage of what game. Be very, very careful. Essentially, King, Queen and 7-8. Well, this is Mark's question, but just be aware of statistics. Mark?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Statistics do lie, and that's why I know one or two of the other presenters are more in tune with statistics than I am, but certainly I'm not mad over statistics. I think they can give you a partial story and not a full story. You know, the overall situation that you have to look at with these things. And, you know, if you stop playing King Queen, if you stop playing all your losing hands, you know, the accountant in you would say, wouldn't he? He would say, why don't you just drop all these lines, yeah, and only sell those products that are making you a profit. The problem is, if you only sell those products, no one will come to you because you have no variation.
Correct.
So that's the problem, you see, and it's a very similar type of thing in poker. You know, if you only have a situation where you're only playing aces, kings and queens because they're the only three profitable hands for you, or even let's say another 5 or so hands that are in there, guess what? No one will give you any money because you're not involved in any hands anymore. They see you like playing like a rock. Every time you flop a hand, they'll say, okay, goodbye, you've only got aces or kings, there's no point playing with you.
And it's situations, you could be late in a tournament, getting a bit low, the blinds are big, the table's short-handed, it gets to the button, you've got King Queen. This is a big hand now. Now you're going to push with it and you fall in love with it. It looks beautiful. At a different stage of a tournament, it's no hand at all. Under the gun, you've got a lot of people behind you. You could walk into King, Ace King. You could walk into Ace Queen. What a mess you'd be in then. It just depends on the state of the tournament, the state of the game. There's no hard and fast answer to it. Well, I would say if you're going to play with hands like 7-8 and King Queen, be careful. They take a bit of skill.
Yeah, they do. Can be a little bit tricky. The time you watch out for King 7/8 specifically is when you flop top pair. That is not what you're looking for. And as long as you know what you're looking for before the hand, then you'll get into less trouble. But remember, if you flops, if you're playing 7/8 and you just flop top pair, be very, very careful. That's not really what your intention was, but sometimes it does happen.
I mean, that's your point about 7/8. You're not looking to hit top pair, because that's not the idea at all.
No. You're happy to win the odd one with it, but
you're looking to take a draw out of this. Some sort of straight draw, 2 pair or whatever.
You're looking for 5/6 in reality, yeah. You're looking for 5/6, 5/6 queen. Someone's got ace queen perhaps, or something along those lines, and now they don't want to give up their top pair when you hit the 9.
And the beauty is you're not going to be put on 7/8 if there's been some action pre-flop.
Yeah, so that's the nice thing about that hand. It can be cheap to get away with. It can cost you a lot if you play it wrongly, so that's the thing to watch out for that. Thanks very much for that, though, Double T. This is from Crimson King, and Crimson King is saying, hey guys, I know I played this hand badly the other day, and I'd like to learn any advice on how to play a similar situation next time. It was close to the bubble of a multi-table tournament. Blinds were 400, 800, okay, so that's quite high, and I had around 17,000. I was up against a chip leader on my table. He raised 4,000 from middle position. So in my mind, I put him on ace king, ace queen, ace jack, or a pocket pair. Fair assumption. My hand is kings, and I thought I wanted to maximise my win with a premium pair. I called the 4K. Flop equals ace rag rag. He checks. I check. Turn is ace. He bets 4. I foolishly think that because he checked the flop, and with 2 aces on the board, it was less likely he had an ace. I don't think that's a fair. I think that's a fair assumption too. So I re-raised him. He called and won with ace queen. Should I have just re-raised him all in pre-flop? Should I have doubled his flop? Okay, let's go for the first thing. I'll tell you the only thing I would have done differently. In that situation, I would have been more. I'd be more interested in actually doubling the raise pre-flop. And the simple reason is this: I would like to get some extra money in pre-flop with that hand. And I know he's going to find it very hard to throw away a hand that he's just committed 4,000 chips to. Now, for him, he's now getting 3 to 1 his money to call for another 4,000. He almost has to call. But I'd rather not have some money that I get in pre-flop guaranteed. I don't think I'd necessarily go all in unless I thought that I just wanted to win the 5,200 there and then.
Yeah, this is, we talked earlier about slow playing, and we talked about that dial, that risk-reward dial. What you've done here is turned up the risk-reward dial to maximum. As it happens, I don't know the players, obviously, but it probably doesn't play any different however you play it. You should, in my opinion, have raised. You want to get rid of, thin out the field a little, and a 1-with-1 bet would have shown great strength. But there are a lot of people that can't pass ace-queen. So it may be that if you'd have raised 1-with-1 or gone all in, he'd have come with you. So it didn't make any difference to you. As far as the way the hand played, well, I have to say I take a slightly different view here. The guy's got ace-queen, it's come ace-rag-rag, and he's got a big caller behind him. He thinks he's winning with his ace-queen, which he is. He's going to wait for you to bet. And that's exactly what you did. So he checks the flop. When the turn comes, he's never going to bet now. He's going to trap. He might bet on the river to get some money in the pot, but he knows he's winning now. And so you think it's weakness, it's not, it's strength. And this whole problem goes back to how we played the beginning of the hand.
Yeah, but he did actually bet when the second ace came. The guy actually bet 4K.
The guy with the kings?
No, with the aces. Yeah, the guy with the aces bet 4K, and he's now re-raised him.
Well, that's a good bet. I mean, because to be honest with you, if you've got kings and it's come ace-ace,
yeah,
and the guy bets, you tend to think he hasn't got it.
Yeah.
And so he's a little bit unlucky there. He's walked into a very, very nicely laid trap.
Yeah.
But the fact remains, I think every mistake, if it's a mistake that's made on a poker table or off a poker table, is you need to go back to the root cause. And the root cause of what happened here was before the flop. But in a way, I think you're unlucky, because if you had a raise before the flop, even if you'd jammed the pot, it's quite possible he'd have come with you.
He probably would have come with, yeah.
The result is the same.
The result is the same. I think the thing for me is I might have done what you did with aces. I'm not too keen on doing it with kings because it's much more vulnerable. That's the thing. You know, you're much more vulnerable to any rag ace. You're only 2.5, 3 to 1. So.
Just imagine how cross you'd be if this guy's at it with ace-3. And you've got kings, and so you just call him to trap it. and he catches his ace.
Yeah.
And so he's beat your kings with ace-3.
Yeah.
And the reason he's beat is A, because you've turned up the wrist dial, and B, you didn't find out where you were. You didn't ask a question. You didn't define his hand. If you'd have raised properly and had ace-3, he passes.
Yeah.
But he catches his ace and he beats you. You're furious.
He could have done it with any kind of ace, couldn't he? That's the thing. He could have done it with ace-9 suited. You know, might have felt, well, this looks nice. I'm chip leader. Let's have a go at it.
Yeah, and the guy that calls a raise with a small ace, you know, he's probably going to call it all the way anyway, because that's what he's called to hit. This was predetermined. There was always going to be an accident here, but I don't think that we played it optimum, to be honest with you. No. I think we should have got the chips in. Yeah. Very, very dangerous hand, Kings.
It is, yeah. Okay, well, thanks very much for that. We've got, that was from Crimson King. Thanks for that, Crimson King.
Good email.
So, we've got some contact details for you. So, if you want to know how to get onto the show, just like Crimson King, this is the way to do it. Text the word poker and your question to 84222. There it is on your screen. Put your question in after that and your name, and we'll answer it. Alternatively, you can email the show poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. So it's time for that memorable occasion.
Oh no!
Beat the presenter, indeed. So let's head over to TK's tourney. TK's corner.
Can I just say that I was unable to chat with the guys on the table because I was playing on Mr. Browning's account, which appears to have lost its chat facilities for some reason. So I could see your comments, and I much appreciated the support.
Yeah, I think James swears a lot.
James Browning?
Yeah, he swears a lot when he's on the table. He starts if they make a bad call, he starts typing in rude words.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that.
I'm only kidding. He doesn't.
There were some lovely comments on there, by the way, from. I've started to get to know the people on the forum. Someone called Balrog UK in particular.
Oh yeah.
And appreciated those. There was a gentleman called Atit Gambler. That's Mr. Bradley was on there. Mr. Ironside was on there. There was all sorts of nice people on there. Well, so we had 1,000 chips. Started nice and quiet.
Yeah, you're in the.
I have to tell you, the guy. Yes, it was a quick version. It would have been nice to have played something slightly slower. But the guy to my left, Charwell, had a remarkable game. You have to watch some of his calls. He's either very, very good, or he's not. But he made some quite remarkable calls, I can tell you.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Got up and down straight draw. One of his outs has gone. You can see Charwell's got the jack. So he's looking really for a 6 or a jack, although, Charwell probably is now wondering what he could have. He might feel he's committed to this hand now. And the Saint has missed completely. He knows his 9 high is no good. So he's decided to push in, and Charwell, well, he's a non-believer.
Yeah, well, he 2 pairs with his aces. As it happens, he's absolutely right.
Yeah,
he's winning, but he lived very close to the edge. He soon had quite a mountain. I've got a tricky hand to play here.
yeah, very tricky indeed. Well, kings for.
I think we played this fairly ABC, to be honest with you. We just a little under a pot raise there.
Well, that was a big raise, Tony.
Now we had a caller in already.
Yeah, still big raise.
We had seat 7 was in, so just a little more.
Yeah, okay. Well, the kings have shifted round, and this time you've got the 3s. What's Tony going to do with these 3s? Let's have a look. What was you thinking here, Tony?
Well, I think I was hoping to see a flop, but I think the guy with the kings was conspiring against me. And
Okay. So you decided that you wanted to just see if it hit a set. That was really what you were trying for, wasn't it?
What a worry is if I'd have raised, this fellow with the kings might not have passed. they do tend to sit with these kings, don't they?
Yeah, they don't like folding them too often pre-flop, do they? Tough one, though.
I wisely get out of the way. I think that just plays itself, to be honest with you.
Yeah, pretty much. So, ace-10 now on the small blind. Got a couple of interesting hands developing here. 2005 Chelsea. Coming with a raise with that king-queen. Doesn't like listening to James, does he?
What is James's theory, that you limp before the flop and then bet after? Is that
in this situation, he would almost certainly limp if he's going to play it at all, yeah. He's not raising under the gun.
No, I'm pretty sure that James will have a convincing argument for it. Let's put it that way.
Yes, he's got a saying for it, in fact. Never mind an argument, he's actually got a little rhyme. King-Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot.
It's like a poem?
Yeah, it doesn't rhyme. It's a poem, yeah. Okay. It doesn't rhyme, but it's like a Jamesy poem.
I put a raise in here with 7s, and I think I actually managed to get away with it. We don't want to see a flop with that.
Not unless you've got a 7 in it.
Not unless we get a 7 in it. I think they were just frightened of me.
Yeah, so they should be. Well, look at this semblance of hands here. Nothing doing for anyone, really. And Chelsea makes up the big blind, small blind rather, with King 7. And Johan, look, he says, well, you can't, if you can only limp on the button and you can only call from the small blind, you can't have anything. Now, this will be interesting. Well, Johan, he's definitely going to go for a continuation bet, but will Chelsea beat him to it and to see where he stands with his 7? He does. Bit weak. Johan might read it for being weak, but will he go for it? Let's have a look. What's Johan going to do? Interesting. Will he go for the raise? He does. He thinks that he can nick it back off him. He's a bit surprised. And I think he's pretty much got his answer there. I think Johan has to throw away now. It would be an amazing play if he can come over the top again, but I can't see how he could do it. I think Johan could probably put him on a very close hand to that King 7, or something like Ace 7, King 7. And the reason I say that is because, first of all, if Chelsea had that bigger hand, that he's, why would he not let Johan make the continuation bet? Someone that you know is an aggressive player and someone that almost certainly is going to bet. And the simple reason is because your hand is weak and you want to just try and get it without too much confrontation.
We've all done what Johan has done there. But the truth is, it's destroyed his tournament. He never recovers from that. And if he looks back on it, he'll say, wait a minute, I had, was it 7-10 or something?
No, 10-3 or something.
10-3. I mean, there were better spots for him to stake his tournament, and now he's struggling. Now he has a job to get back in the game. But we've all done it.
Yeah, I wonder if he... I don't think he would have had the fortitude to go over the top there. You could almost put him on second pair, I think, there. Almost put him on it.
We're quite early in the tournament here. I want to see what this man to my left does. So I've limped with a view to seeing how he plays. And he's put a raise in, and so I know that in future, if I've got a hand I can't call a raise with, I might as well not be there. I'll let go of it, or I'll raise.
Yeah,
I think when the blinds are cheap, you can find out a little against the guy that sat next to you just by messing around.
Yeah, there's some good advice there for Tony. You know, keep a note on what players are doing in their situations. Try and get a feel for them as early as possible. And the minute you get a feel for them, then you can start to determine a structure of playing against them in the future. Certainly get a bit more of a feel. So that was a very good piece of advice there from Tony. 6, 7, 8, 9 and a flush draw for Charwell. Doesn't hit anything. Is he going to try and bet it? No, he doesn't. He's quite happy just to let it go. He knows that his hand's not going to be winning in that situation very unlikely anyway. So Charwell with a 2, 6.
I have no interest in that Ace 3 at all.
How come?
It's just not a hand I want to play. I cannot. I don't have the ability to play these little small aces. We don't know where we are. We walk into a medium ace, we're dead. We're not beating any sort of hand, are we? We're not beating any pair except deuces. And somebody's got a bigger ace, well, we're very thin. So they're of no interest to me.
Okay, there you are. Interesting stuff there from Tony. We're now on to the second level, 2040. Ace-Jack has called on the button. He's in good position here. And Chelsea likes that flop. He's now got an inside straight draw as well as his pair of fives, which look pretty good on a flop like that.
It's a nice flop for fives.
Yeah, very nice flop. Short of it being 2, 3, 4, it's a very nice flop.
He's got his gut shot as well.
Yeah, so it's looking pretty good.
He's got an extra 4 outs. And it's hard to put the opponent on anything that's on that flop, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, Charwell was made it 240. It's quite a big bet there. That's 6 times the big blind, which is a huge bet. And no doubt TK won't be playing this one.
I can't see me.
Under the gun?
No, not interested.
TMH with the same hand, just a suited version as T's case. What's he going to do? He's in a better position now. He's on the cut-off. He might come in for a raise, and I wouldn't blame him. 160 is about right for me if you're going to do that. And he's bought himself another round free of charge.
You notice how nicely I'm passing here?
Yeah, you're passing very nicely so far.
Yeah, smooth, cool.
So TEMH folds, as does DVN.
It gets me off this 6-7 suit. I really think about calling this, but my stack is just a little bit too thin to be calling. I either move in.
Yeah, I might have been tempted because of the player.
Yeah,
in fact, I would have been tempted definitely because of the player.
It would have knocked me down to 6-650, and
No, it's only 80. It knocks you down to. And you're already in for a little bit, so it would have brought you down to about 780, something like that.
Yeah, my nerve failed, that's all there is to it. I wanted to call, but I couldn't bring myself.
Up and down straight draw for one swinger.
Against the nut.
Yeah. Now, Charles, an aggressive play. He might decide to try. Yeah, he has. He's trying to get Swinger at it. And Swinger's hit. Oh, he's in trouble. He's hit now, and he probably wants to get rid of this hand now, in as much that he thinks he's got the best hand.
Yeah, he's played it very cute as well, isn't he? The Swinger, he's put a little tickle bit in, thinking he's trapping, and he's being trapped, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, Charwell said thanks for that one.
The card he thought he wanted to hit, he didn't want to hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'll get brave with these 10s here.
I don't believe you don't get brave with these, surely. Well, he's playing Johan, who could be raising of anything, and he is, ace-6 suited. And TK comes back over the top.
I'm committed with this hand.
Yeah.
I'm going all the way with it, but...
You didn't just want to go all in at that point?
No, I wasn't brave enough. But really, that's what I was doing, wasn't it?
Pretty much, because
I pretty
Johan
much can't
was...
get off it.
Yeah, Johan was, if he calls that, he's pretty much all in anyway.
But in his 8-seater thing with a fast structure, I'm, to be honest with you, I'm reasonably happy to die with 10s.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, not the worst flop in the world for a pair of 7s. Jack high doesn't look that worrying.
Hard to put Mr. Charwell on the hand he's got, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I would have liked to come out with a little bet there from Chelsea, I think. Because Charwell could have done that with anything. He could have been sitting on ace high and doing that. He could have had ace 10 or whatever it was, a missed flop, and he would have done that bet with practically anything.
I'll make a bad player, I think.
So you've limped under the gun, have you?
Yeah, I've limped under the gun with Queen 8 suited for some strange reason.
Why did you do that? That's very unlike you.
I thought I had kings, to be truthful. I was waiting for a raise behind me. I don't know.
They do look a little similar.
It's a terrible play. There's no defending it.
Raise here coming from James? JB? No.
I don't really want to get too busy if I can help it, unless I have a big hand, because this field's going to thin out quite quick, in my opinion. I don't think we get to see a flop here.
No, Queen 7, you're not going to. Ace Jack, you've got a lot of hands there. Ace Jack, King 10, 9s, another King 10.
This is
You've got the worst of it.
This is go and have a drink while the children play, because they're all going to get busy with each other here. Which I'm delighted about. I want these guys to take each other on.
Oh, it's worked out for TM so far. He's now got top pair. He can only lose to a queen. Charwell has to call for the little bit extra that he was being asked to call
for. Charwell sort of read this with hindsight. He realised what he walked into at the end. He's very unlucky.
Yeah, well, we've lost 2 players so far.
There is a stage quite soon when I test out Charwell with a little raise from the small blind, and I show him what backbone I've got here. Yeah, maybe this hand. Yeah, I've raised here. No, I've just called. I've just called.
Yeah. Well, it's worked out quite nice for Charwell so far.
This is where I decide to take him on with my 6-7, because I think he's not likely to have hit that.
Yeah. Even if he does hit, he's not likely to be too happy with 2 or 5 in his hand. Well,
but that was bad timing.
Yeah, missed time.
I think to be honest with you, the play's okay. The chances of him hitting that top pair are pretty small.
Yeah.
Most times I get it through. As it happened, he'd hit it. I got caught.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hands in till. But you have to do these things.
Yeah, I don't think he's done anything really wrong there. Well, look at this. The worst of the aces has taken it again this time. Oh, but not the end. So TMH might be in a bit of trouble there. He's got a board that looks okay for A6, but it's not that great. As Deviant called that queen, which propelled him to a better 2 pair. Johan's got the ace 9, and he decides to, that's the hand he's prepared to die with, if necessary, but I'm not going to die with it because no one's going to call him, I can't imagine.
I have 5-6 there, and in the first 3 levels of a decent structured tournament, I have to see this before the flop. Even if there's been a bit of a raise and there's some action, I have to see a flop with that hand. But when we're in a structure like this, it's difficult. I'm afraid.
It is, yeah. You're in the third level and it's now.
Yeah, it's
expensive.
the same for all of us. So I'm not saying that's any sort of excuse. It's just that in this sort of tournament, it's very hard. But if the blinds are sensible, the structure's sensible, you've got hands like 5, 6 of hearts. Remember, you only hit every 10, 15 or 20 times, but when you do hit, you're going to get it paid properly. And we can't be waiting for aces and kings, so we have to get a bit creative here.
Well, Johan can't call with his 10-2, and he was tempted, see if he could go over the top, but TEM was never going to fold that.
You see how well I took that?
Yeah. Very well. They're scared of you.
It was a very aggressive walk, I thought.
Yeah.
I sort of postured with me mouse button.
Yeah, I don't think we should be talking about your mouse button, Tony.
This is where I finished. I finished 6th last time, so I'm down to 6 now. So
So you want to improve on that?
I'm very conscious that. I have to say, I did get attacked on your forum.
You got attacked?
Well, the gentleman said.
Why did you not play well last time or something?
Well, basically, I upset him, I think, and he said I was a donkey.
Did you? Why did you upset him, Tony?
What
did you do? Whilst you were playing, you mean?
No. I just he didn't take to me awfully well, and maybe he had good reason. To begin with, I couldn't pronounce his name properly. His name was Hawick, which is a place.
Hoik.
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was Hoik. That sounded like somebody being sick to me. I said Harwick, and so I left myself open to a bit of ridicule. And I was having some fun with the Scots and the Welsh, as I tend to. Anyway, I trod on his corns, apparently, and he said I played like a donkey. But he did. Afterwards, he did say.
So he was watching then, basically.
Oh yes,
yeah.
but one or two people said that I had some pretty bad hands, and he was kind enough to say, "Yeah, I accept that." So we have to take this on the chin, and he made some very constructive comments, and we kissed and made up. In cyber terms.
Well, I'm just getting a bit worried about you, Tony. You know, you've got this blonde hair now. You're kissing boys in cyberspace. I mean, what's going on here? What's going on?
I'll get brave again here. Get him in, son. In they go. See how well I called him now?
Yeah, you don't want to see a 7, though, or a club. Well, it's getting worse and worse for you. Will it hold up?
Yeah, it was a bit cheek clenching at the end there, wasn't it?
Yeah, 7 or a club, gosh. Or an 8, for that matter.
So now we have 5 players, and really we have a game on now. Now is the time for me to be serious now.
Is it 5 or 4? No, 4 players.
4. My apologies. Now is the time these games start. This is when you've got to change gear and start playing. And you've got to look at the other stacks carefully. The first thing you look at is DVN1. We'd like to see him out of the way if possible. Ace-10 is a hand I wouldn't raise within a million years on a full table, unless I was at the end of a tournament or thin. But we're four-handed here. Big hand. You know, it's Ace-10 four-handed is somewhere like Ace-King and a half. It's just above Ace-King. It's massive. So we've got to start raising with it now. I'll put a little bit of pressure on this guy to my left now.
Yeah. Well, you've got a nice hand, Ace-9. Oh. Don't like it that much then.
Did he put a bit of pressure back on me?
No, you folded on the small on the.
I should perhaps.
He must have. He must have. No, sorry, he's made it 320 from under the gun.
I'm all in or all out on that.
Yeah.
We can't be limping.
DVN is all in now.
Oh, what a horrible situation DVN finds himself in.
Yeah.
And so Charwell has now got himself or herself a very substantial stack, and we're three-handed.
So it's looking good so far. Three-handed, and you're in the money.
I think I quite fancy taking Charwell on once we've got heads up, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. Because quite a nasty misunderstanding occurs.
A misunderstanding? Did you misplay a hand, you mean? Is what you said?
Well, as it turns out, I did, yeah.
Right, let's have a look. 9-4 against 9-4. And Chelsea's just going to see if he can take this one away from you on the flop, I guess. Oh, look at that.
Sure, that was jolly brave, wasn't it?
Was very brave. with 9-4, but he thought, well, if Chelsea's got a hand, unless he's got a monster, he's not going to...
we have a bit of an accident here.
Oh, pair of 10s.
I think I'm beating the 9s, you see. That's where I've made my mistake. I think I'm ahead. Well, really three-handed, we can't do anything with 10s against 9s.
Well, that's looking good for you so far.
It is what it is. It's perfect. I'm home and hosed. Ah.
Or you were home and hosed, and you've just been rehoused.
Yes. So, fell over there.
Gosh, 10s losing against the 9s, and Chelsea takes that one. Well, that was very unfortunate.
Well,
very unfortunate.
Yeah, but it's
that would have propelled you to
it's second and
3,000 in chips.
Would have been able to see my astonishing
almost
heads-up
second.
play. I have an extraordinary record heads-up. I once won a match heads-up.
I've heard of you talking about your heads-up play. Yeah.
Oh, it's appalling, appalling. So I've saved that embarrassment anyway.
Wow, look at this. We've got King 9 against Charles Ace 10, and they're both going to stick it all in here, I guess. And the King 9's taking the lead. Charles needs an ace to actually win this one now. Or a couple of runners, but he hasn't hit the runner that he wanted, and that's not going to change anything. It does make Chelsea's hand a bit nicer. 2 pair for him, no pair for Charwell, ace high. And Charles in on the drip feed now.
Yeah, it's definitely intensive care.
Yeah.
There's only 8,000 chips in play, so the average is 4,000. It's 1,700. But, you know, these blinds, that's okay. It's all right for a minute. He doesn't have to press the panic button.
Well, it looks a little bit weak there from Chelsea, or very strong. Which is it? Well, for me, I think it looks weak, for the simple reason that seeing that Charles got such low chips, he probably wouldn't have put any money into that and just hope that Charles will catch you something if you did have that that set. But anyway, moving on. 10-5. Not much there. Simple throwaway for Charwell. He's wondering when his luck's going to change in terms of hands. Hasn't improved now, but he might decide to make a stand. So he doesn't need to. Gets folded to him. He might decide to push here. Well, in fact, he's definitely going to push.
This is a push hand for sure.
Yeah, and Chelsea can't call with his 8-4. So increases his stack a little. And
problem is blinds are now 163.20, so a pot raise is just over 1,000. Effectively, a pot raise is his stack. He doesn't have any in between here.
Yeah,
it's all or nothing.
Well, look at that set of 8s, and it's good night. Charwell has no outs.
Good night, nurse.
It was indeed, wasn't it?
Congratulations to them both. They deserve to come first and second. Good luck to them.
Yeah, they both played pretty well, I thought.
I won some money for James, though.
Yeah. Well, he can't talk about it, though, can he?
Oh, no.
No. Can't talk about it on the forum, though, can he?
Apparently not, no.
No. He talks too much anyway, James, doesn't he? So, moving on. Just joking, James. Email from Lumas. Just playing some 10... This is Sam Lumas, one of our regulars.
Right.
On the...
Hi, Sam.
On the tables. He's playing 10 cent, 20 cent tables for fun, and I get dealt 10s. I just limp. I've gotten into a pattern of limping in with all pocket pairs below queens because I find that I make money when I flop the set, and when I play pocket pairs by raising, that's all I get, so that's why I limp. The guy in first position who has $12 raises to 120, I just call. The flop is queen 2-3. So you've got 1 over card and 2 nothing cards. I'm thinking this guy's a better pocket pair than me, or ace king. And when he bets $2, I call immediately to make it look like I pressed the click call button. Anyway, so he'll be intimidated not to bet on the turn with nothing. Turn is a jack, so when he thinks for a few seconds and checks, I also check. Okay. River is a rag, and he proceeds to go all in, which is about the pot bet. I think about what he has just done and call. He flips over ace 2, which isn't what I put him on, but glad to see that my 10s how holds up. I think that I only called because of his check on the turn, and it seemed like he was just trying to buy the pot on the river. What would you have called that? Would I have called that? Well, it depends really. I mean, I'd need some information on how he's played other hands up to that point. whether he seems to be playing reckless or whether I think he's likely to make that kind of move. If I've decided that he's likely to make a move like that with nothing, then there's a bigger chance that I would call that, because it does seem an unusual bet to call $12 to make that kind of over bet like that. I'm a bit surprised as to why someone would want to do that. If they had a hand, they'd probably want to milk you for it rather than just going all in. So I'd be more tempted to call than not, but it really depends on what I thought of that player. What do you think, Tony?
I think Sam's played it nicely.
Yeah.
Is it Sam?
Sam, yeah.
Yeah, I think you played that nicely, Sam. I'm not sure that I would call on the end because I don't like calling in those situations.
Yeah. Well, I think you would call with top pair, probably then.
I like to be the aggressor. No, I don't think I want to least trips. Seriously, it takes a bit of doing to call. It's easy to try and steal the pot or bet, but it's a lot more difficult to call. So I think you made a nice play there. I think you played the hand nicely. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would like to say one thing, is that people get a little bit confused here. I'm not suggesting you are, sir. But because you make a play and you win or lose the hand, there's no parallel there with it being the correct or the wrong play. You can win a hand by playing bad and you can lose a hand by playing good and vice versa. Just because you win the hand doesn't mean you played it right. Just because you lose the hand doesn't mean you played it wrong. It just doesn't work that way. But I actually think you played this hand very well. I don't know if I can call on the end, but yeah, you called, you know, right.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, like Tony said, one hand doesn't define whether something is right or wrong. You have to take each individual situation for what it's worth and decide the merits of it based on that situation. It does make it hard, as I keep saying on Poker Night Live, it does make it hard when you've only got sort of 15, 20 seconds to act sometimes. So sometimes you are prone to a few more mistakes than you would perhaps be on a live table. However, this is what's poker all about. It's about making right decisions, whether it means calling or raising or folding. And on that occasion, you obviously played it well. So well done, Sam. Nice one. Not an easy call, that one. Email from Sark79, and he's saying, "Hi guys, I was wondering how to choose between the many poker books available. Every month, more strategy books are released. Does there come a time when you can rely too much on books and fail to develop your own style?" That's very interesting.
Oh, Sark lives in Kilmarnock, which is in Scotland.
Okay.
And I'm not absolutely certain about this, but his avatar, you know the little pictures of people
Avatar,
put?
yeah.
Avatar, that's the word, is a penguin.
Okay.
But I don't think he's a penguin.
No.
I think he's a real person. He's actually a wonderful, nice man. And he asks about books.
Yeah. I've got very strong views on this, but go on.
Well, so have I, but
Go on, let's see yours.
Well, I don't believe in poker books.
Very interesting.
I just don't believe in them. You know, you can learn the basics, you can learn the odds, you can learn the maths, but essentially it's a game of instinct. What you can learn in a book is up and down poker, ABC poker. You can learn the theoretically correct way. Imagine if we all played the theoretically correct way. What would happen? It'd be an extremely boring game. If you look at the good players today, both in cash and in tournaments, they don't play straight up and down poker. That isn't the way to learn poker, in my opinion. Experiment yourself, talk to people that play the game, watch people playing the game, mess around, read articles by players, read blogs by good players, but learning poker from a book, not in a million years. Not for me. For other people, I'm sure it works, but I tried reading the books. I went through the standard library. Really, it's a no-no for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, I share the same views as you, but we're probably the only two presenters that do.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we're right, by the way, but it's just the way I feel.
The thing for me with books is very similar to Tony. I believe that books can provide you with a foundation, and I don't mind that. I don't mind if you take it at the beginning of your poker career, you started off, you want to start things on about as good a step as you can. So you read a couple of decent books to build you a strong foundation. That's fine. What I have a problem with is when you then have your foundation and you don't develop your own style. It's very much like you said. The problem is that in poker, like anything that you're learning, you need to have a creative feel for the game, a creative game, like as poker is. You need to develop your own style, and it needs to be an evolutionary process to build. And if you don't allow that to happen, and you won't allow that to happen if every time something goes a little wrong and you jump straight into the next book, you're never going to learn yourself how to play, because every time you're seeking the answers in a book, and really the answers are there in front of you to work out. You have to look at situations. I remember Dave actually saying one of his articles once,
Dave Colclough.
Yeah, once what he used to do was that he used to come out of a tournament after he'd just got knocked out, and he used to sit down and think about the plays that he did, that he felt he could have done differently, and he used to work it out so that next time he went into a tournament, that he would play it in hopefully the correct way. And this is for me a much better way of learning. Go back, make notes. I mean, I remember, looking at the World Series that Raymer won. You noticed when he was talking to Mike Matuso there, and he was giving a bit of verbal. He was making notes, not about him, but he was actually making notes about styles of play and the cards he had and what happened. And really what he was basically doing was making notes about himself so that he could then hopefully change his game a little. I don't think it really matters once he's won 5 million. He probably doesn't give a toss anymore, but that's basically what really happened.
A good way of learning is getting on tables and experiencing pain, losing. That's, to me, most of the lessons I've had, and I'm just a foot soldier on a poker ladder, but most of the lessons I've had have come from losing, because losing hurts. It hurts me financially, it hurts my pride more than financially. I don't like to lose. And so I look at that defence and say, what did I do wrong? I watch the way other people play. I've tried this sitting waiting for aces, kings and queens. It doesn't work. There isn't enough aces, kings and queens to go round. So you've got to be a little bit more creative. But I'm a firm believer in that a little bit of pain is good for you. When the little boy falls off his bike and grazes his knee, that's actually a good thing, because it teaches him not to fall off his bike. Pain is good sometimes.
Pain is good, yeah. You have to fail to succeed sometimes.
Absolutely.
The best people in the world have failed, many more times. You only have to look at Thomas Edison as a great example. Yeah, he failed over 1,000 times, I think it was, in trying to invent the light bulb. So there you go. Here's
he invented the phone.
Sorry?
I thought he invented the phone.
No, that's Bell.
Oh, right.
Never mind.
Sorry.
Let's move on from our history lesson on to some poker. And I think we've got, what have we got? A cash game for you. So let's head straight over there. Thanks very much for that, Sark. That was a very interesting one. However, on the subject of books, there are 1 or 2 very good books out there, and if you are starting off, by the sounds of what TK is telling me, you're not starting off, but for anyone out there that is interested in having a good foundation for a book, for me, I love the book by Sklansky, Advanced Tournament Play, specifically for tournaments. I think it gives you a very, very good foundation for your poker career. So that's one I'll do. It also gives you some good, easy to understand maths in there as well, which will help you in terms of not only your tournament game, but your cash game as well. For me, that was one of the best books that I've read, although I haven't read loads and loads, but the few that I have read, that's a very good one.
And the other one is, I would recommend, is The History of the Great Western Steam Railway. No, it's stunning stuff.
Is it? Okay.
Pictures as well.
Excellent stuff. Okay.
My dad's in there. I've got a picture of my dad in there.
Right, okay. Not sure where we're going with this, Tony, but...
Do you want to talk about trains?
I don't know anything about trains, unfortunately. Train wrecks, maybe, but... So we've got a cash game. We're watching this, a cash game that we were watching earlier. This is a 50-cent $1 cash game. $100 is the maximum buy-in, $10 is the minimum buy-in, or anything in between. Last time we left it, Go Sapper was doing fairly well. Phantom hasn't changed much. He was around about 60 odd. Snap It was almost to the penny on what he's on at the moment. He was on 122, I believe, or 123, so he hasn't changed hardly at all. And everyone else has changed from what I can remember. So we've only got a couple of people still left, 2 or 3 people from sort of an hour or so ago.
You understand I'm quite new to what we're doing here, but there are 2 names here that I recognise from last week. Excuse me not recognising more, but Snap It played very well last week. If I'm not mistaken, Snap It lives in Coventry, or lived in Coventry at some stage. Quite an interesting player and a good player. And another player that impressed me greatly last week was Curehead, who I see has somehow got $238 there.
Yeah, he's doing nicely, isn't he?
What's the sit down here? 50, is it?
100. So maximum is 100, minimum is 10. They can sit anything, obviously, anywhere.
We don't know what he sat down with, but he didn't sit down with 230.
Yeah.
And he played very well last week. I believe
Curehead.
I believe there was a table where Curehead was in seat 5, and Ram Chip was in seat 4, and they were the class acts for me.
Oh, excellent stuff. Okay. So.
Do you ever remember the Cure?
The Cure?
Yeah, Robert Smith.
A little. Not really my kind of stuff, really.
Walk in the Forest?
No. Sorry. Don't know. Well, look at this. Flopped the house for Snap It. He's loving this.
Wow. What a lovely flop.
Now, the only problem is he's got
How does he get paid?
Yeah.
How does he get paid?
Dear, he's saying, what did it have to come
a 2? A 3 might get him a few bob. I don't know what else is going to get him paid, to be honest with you. No, an 8.
Yeah, the problem is they can easily put him on a 6, can't they? That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's in the small blind. He's likely to have a 6.
Only an 8. It's hard to get paid here.
Yeah, only an 8 for the Phantom. He might decide to call for 1 to see if he can flop that 8. One of them's already gone, so it's even less likely. Bluff Boy, I think, has just gone to make a cup of tea or something, and Phantom doesn't want to know. Well, snap it. Not much you could do there.
The flop was too good. Sometimes
yeah.
it's just too much. You know, you can't get paid, but
No.
at least we haven't lost anything.
No. With that, unfortunately, when he bet that 2, people probably, you know, that wouldn't have helped anyone. So even if someone had the 2, they were not going to call him. He could only hope for someone to call him with a 6. Didn't happen, so really would have had to wait for an overcard to come, hopefully like a king or a queen or something, to try and get paid on that. But it was very unlikely you were ever going to get any money out of that pot, snap it. Just one of those things. Unfortunate. Just shows you, flop's a monster, no good.
Yep. We're never happy, are we?
No. And for those of you wondering what the odds of flopping a house with a pocket pair, I believe the odds are 136 to 1. So there you are. Not going to happen that often.
That's flopping it. What about hitting it before the end?
Oh, that I don't know.
Less.
Less so, absolutely, yeah. That's on the assumption that
Trips
you
are 8 to 1 on the board or 8 to 1 on the flop? 8 to 1 on the board, I guess.
Sorry, to make trips.
Yeah.
7.5 to 1.
If you have a pocket pair.
Yeah, 7.5 to 1 to hit your set. Yeah.
On the
flop.
On the flop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's 15 to 1 or thereabouts on the next card if you've missed it on the flop. Or thereabouts. So we've got some interesting hands developing. This is not going to be one of them, but we've had a few so far. Let's hope it continues. And got an interesting type of table. We've got Snap It, who generally plays a fairly solid game, makes the odd move every now and again. Difficult to catch him at it because you never know when he's actually at it, because he doesn't make that many. So, but he does make them. He is prepared to make them, and he's prepared to he's prepared to put some money behind some of his bluffs. I've seen him do it. When he gets a read on a situation, he's confident with a read. He is prepared to do it. But sometimes you can just make the timing can be slightly off, and it can cost you, and you sort of go into your shell a little bit. And I've got a strange feeling, I might be mistaken, but just reading the way he's playing now, that's a little bit probably of what's been happening recently. And as poker players, we all go through those swings. You know, there are swings that you have to overcome, and the way of overcoming a lot of the swings is, like Snap It is doing, like a lot of players is doing, is just go back to basics. It really is as simple as that. When things don't work out for you in poker, then the simple thing is start from back to basics and then work your way up, and you'll be surprised how effective you can be just by going back to basics. Because guess what, you're being let's say a little creative with your hands, and all of a sudden you're now playing solid poker. Players are going to need to adjust to that. They remember you as being, you know, sort of more creative, and all of a sudden you're playing solid and winning with solid hands. They're starting to pay you off. Then you gain more confidence, and guess what? You start going back the other way again. So it's, it's like a swing one way and then the
It's
other.
remarkable. It's a guy sat here with a pair of 9s. There's 4 people on the table. Nobody's got a card above a 7.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I was watching on TV the other day, Tony. Oh, look at this. Look
at this.
He's top bottom pair and a straight
Phantom
draw.
doesn't want to hit his 9 here, does he?
No, he definitely doesn't want to hit his 9. He does 4. I'm surprised he didn't bet there a little bit, Phantom.
Yeah,
you know, he's very susceptible, isn't he?
The old dial is turned up here.
He's worked out okay for him in the end, but he was very susceptible to another overcard coming. He doesn't like that king. He's probably just going to flat call, which is the right move. He shouldn't be doing anything else with it. That looks pretty scary. Yeah, but he's getting 5 to 1 his money. He has to call.
He has to call, but he mustn't raise. If he raises, he only gets called if he's losing.
Yeah, he's getting over 5 to 1 here.
Is he going to call this?
He's only got 1 overcard.
Oh,
well, he's thrown it away.
Well, that was
that was poorly played, Phantom. I've got to say, you had a pair of 9s on an 8 high board. You've got to bet it.
No, I'm not sure I'd say poorly played because we could see the whole card and he couldn't. But
No, I'm saying when you've got an overpair to the board with a pair of nines, you don't give any more free cards away.
Well, yeah.
And 2 hearts out there. Oh, no, you've got to bet it. You know, a pair of
trying
nines.
to save the poor gentleman's feelings.
I'm just telling him to help him. Hopefully, the truth will help him. I might not like it to hear it, but it's the truth. And at the end of the day, if that one bit of information will help him win more pots in the future, I'm sure hopefully he'll thank me in the end. So, there we go. So, it's been interesting so far, hasn't it?
Excellent.
Yeah, so let's have a look if we've got time for... let me give you some contact. We don't have time for emails. Let me give you some contact details. If you want to contact the show, contact me or Tony. There are a couple of ways you can do it. The first way is text the word poker to 84222. Put your question in and your name, and myself and Tony will be only too pleased to answer it. As well as that, you can email the show poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. So, it's time for that phone call time again. Who have we got? Is it Mike again?
Mike Lacey, Lucky
He's still
Blind.
there. Yeah, he's been hanging around for a bit, hasn't he? Okay, so let's head over to Mike Lacey, who I believe is on the other end of the line. Let's go there. And just like that, in a flash, we're back talking with Mike Lacey, and alongside me tonight is Tony TK Kendal. And I've been talking a lot to Mike, and you've been sitting in the background there, haven't you? I think it's your turn, Tony. So, but I know you've got a few things to talk about with Mike, haven't you?
Okay, Mike. Here's one I'm going to spring on you. We talked about tournament structures just now, and we've talked a little about the competitions that we've played on the main circuit. 99.9% of the poker players on the planet actually play at the 5, 10 and 20 pound level, and these are the guys we need to be looking after and thinking of. We can get good structures at the £1,000 buy-in and the £2,000 buy-in. If you want a good structure as a 5 or 10 pound tournament player, it doesn't exist. You have to play one-day crapshoots. Do you think it'd be a good idea if they could get a proper structure where they had 2 or 3 days to play maybe a 10 or 20, 25 pound comp, and they had proper clocks? Would that be something that would catch on?
It would only catch on if there was somebody there who was willing to pay for it, because, I mean, I actually run poker tournaments over here and no costs involved in doing it, certainly outside of the casino anyway. And from a business point of view, it isn't good to do it regularly. It could be done as a one-off, maybe every few months as a learning experience to get you new players coming to your tournaments, but it would have to be done as a loss leader, and somebody would need to take the initiative to do that.
Well, when you say that, Mike, here's a real novel idea that's just come to my mind. It's probably absolutely stupid, but what about if a sponsor put some money into the tournament that went to the players?
Well, that would definitely be one way that you could do it. That's what somebody would have to add money to it, or to pay for the tournament to be run, for it to be done on a regular basis. There may be somebody who would decide that it would be a good thing to do to bring new players into the game. At the moment, I do a free roll, which we don't charge anything. We do a whole night once a week. It's free to enter, and they pay for their rebuys. And that would be a similar kind of thing. But to take 2 or 3 days out, you would need a big sponsor to come along and pay for all that, because running a 3-day tournament is a lot different to running one in an evening for nothing.
Yeah, but there are plenty of online card rooms that are making plenty of money, and they want their name put around. You know, it's something for everybody here. The online card room gets their name across to the players, and the players get decent value and some added money. You know, how often do we see added money go to the players?
Not very often at all. There's very few added money tournaments that I've ever played in. I don't know how many you've played in yourself, but I bet you can count it on the fingers of one hand.
Where money goes to the players?
Where the extra added money in the tournament.
I can't ever recall it happening. I've been in many sponsored events, but I don't think I can recall being in one where the sponsor money actually went down to the players.
Yeah, no, I think most of them do, don't they?
How so?
I can think of the ones at Luton. They've added for the satellites, just for the satellites recently, they added a couple of extra seats and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair comment. The satellites on the Grosvenor circuit have had a seat added. But in terms of a headline sponsor on a main event, it's very rare that the money finds its way to the players.
Well, we had the Showdown thing. They added money, didn't they, for the £500 main event?
I really don't know about that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Well, that's a good trend. If that's the
yeah.
case, I'm happy to acknowledge it's happening, but we need to keep banging the table.
But it needs to happen more. That's definite, isn't it? Really, that's definite.
Yeah.
It's not happening a lot, and I think it's mainly because it's a new sport, isn't it, Mike?
It is. I mean, we've had some added money events over here. The Irish Open had 50,000 added to it, plus the sponsors guaranteed prize pool as well. Although that was met eventually in the end at the last minute, but it definitely seems to be the way forward now. I think poker is getting so mainstream that you could even see companies that aren't online card rooms adding money to tournaments. I believe a big non-poker company added some money to the World Series Tournament of Champions, although I don't think it found its way back to the players in the way it should. But it just goes to show that the big names are out there and recognising poker.
Excellent stuff. Okay, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, Mike, but it's been great having you on, so hopefully we'll do it again next week.
Hopefully, yes.
Excellent stuff. Well, that was Mike Lacey talking to myself and the wonderful, the blonde, the very blonde Tony TK Kendal. So we're going to take a short break now, so don't go too far away because we've got plenty more poker for you. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Poker Night Live, final leg of the evening with myself, Mark Prince Charles Banin, and the infamous Tony TK Kendal. Well done on your third, by the way, Tony.
Well, it's improvement on last time.
Yeah, well, you're doing better than me so far. I've managed a second, but it's taken me about 5 attempts or so, doing pretty well.
Well, I was happy with that. It was improvement. That's the main thing. You feel so embarrassed about making a fool of yourself. That's the point.
You have to be careful, especially on those fast ones. But anyway,
there we go.
We've got some emails for you guys, so I think you've got one to read out, Tony, haven't you?
Yeah, we have an email from a gentleman that calls himself Red Dog.
I know, he's posting on the Blonde forum, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Red Dog.
That's a very good friend of mine called Tom McCready, a wonderful, wonderful man. I'm sure you've seen him around the circuits.
I haven't seen him live so much, I don't think, but I know who he is. Vaguely,
he used to have a different name. He used to be called Taps, T-A-P-S.
Okay.
Which was thick as pig something. I can't remember.
We won't go there.
He's a wonderful, wonderful guy. But I'm afraid you've walked into a trap here.
Have I?
He said, "Hi guys, great show again. You discussed reducing the blinds on the final table at Brighton. What I would like to know is, was this announced beforehand? If not, think about the unfortunate souls who, on or near the bubble, pushed in when they might have waited." Good question, Tom. I know it's a hobby horse of yours. Mr. Banin, get out of that.
Well, I'll say that, the first thing is that situation is the same for everyone. So no one player had a particular advantage, and I don't think it's wrong. I think what's happened is that we've got to the final table, and the players have said, as long as everyone agrees on that final table, that we can move the blinds up. Now, this could have happened, by the same token, Red Dog, this could have happened, when there were 2 tables left. All 16 players, or whatever it was, could have got together and said, how about we push for the blinds being reduced? And that would be up to them to do so. It could have happened when there were 12 players left. Maybe the likes of the small blinds might have suggested to the other players that let's see if we can all agree to reduce the blinds so there's a bit more play. So that option is always open to put forward to the management. But of course, as long as all the players agree, then it's fine. If they don't agree, if 2 players say no or 1 player says no, then I agree it's wrong to do it. But at any point that can happen. The fact that it just happens to be on the final table is purely because all 8, 9, 10 players, I can't remember what it was, agreed to do it. That could have happened at 10, it could have happened at 11, could have happened at 12. So as far as I'm concerned, it's something that can happen at any point. It's up to the players to decide to do that.
I think Dom's point here is that he believes that one adjusts one's play to the advertised structure, and if we know it's going to be adhered to, then you play accordingly. He actually played a tournament where it was a big buy-in, a lot of money, and it was a 45-minute clock, and he played it as a 45-minute clock. When the players came back on day 2, it went to an hour, and then it went to 90 minutes, but they hadn't said so in advance.
Right.
And he felt, and I think many of us feel, I agree with him here, that if we know the structure in advance, that's how we play our game. And if you go out play into that structure and then it's changed, you have been disadvantaged.
Well, I will say this one thing. I agree with you entirely apart from one caveat, and that is if it's the management that does it on their own, then I don't agree with that at all. I think that's wrong.
Well,
however, if all the players agree to do something, what's wrong with it? If all the remaining players agree to do it, why not? If you could, because you have that option of doing it at any point.
Yeah, well, I think the bone of contention in this particular case that I'm talking about was that it was the management that decided.
Totally wrong, I agree.
There was no consultation with the players, it was suddenly done.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he's coming from.
He's totally right in that case, yeah. Well, see, what I don't like, Tony, is when people do things unilaterally. And they decide, okay, we're going to do this now, and that's, that's like it or lump it type of thing. That's wrong, yeah. Or they do it for the benefit of half the players. That's wrong too. But what I'm suggesting is that this is something that was approached to all the players. Do you want to do this? Yes, we want to do it, so we'll change it accordingly. Now, as I said, the fact that it happened on the final table is where it's most likely to happen. However, I think that maybe if there was 12 players left and all 12 across two tables said, do you want to do it, and all agreed to do it, then there's no real, why not? All 12 are getting the benefit.
Yeah, I don't want to sit on the fence here, but I do think it's nice when you make a final and the blinds have got a bit out of hand and management say, look guys, we might roll these blinds back a couple of levels to make a good final. We all want to be able to play poker rather than have a crapshoot, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
so
the key, isn't it?
It just depends on the situation, but the point he was making is that when management does it without consultation, he feels he's lost his money under false pretences, and I think he's got a point.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. Okay, we've got time for one or two more, let's see. Yeah, we have indeed. Okay, this one is from Young Simon, and Young Simon is a nice easy one here, Tony, but we get this, I love this question because it always appears every time in June, and it is, in May and June, sort of leading up to the World Series, and it is, Dear Mr. Kendal, don't I exist? What's going on there? I'm here. Anyway, dear Mr. Kendal, I have secured a seat in the main event of the World Series. Well done. Congratulations for that, Young Simon. If I'm dealt aces in the first hand and someone goes all in pre-flop before I act, should I call and risk walking out the door in the first 10 seconds? My view, very simple. Definitely yes. No question about it.
Absolutely no question. There was a stage when I think I would have passed them because what I want to do is go to them like the World Series if I was
ever lucky enough. Don't you?
I want to save it. I want to be there for a long time. But my partner Dave Colclough taught me the other way that in some hands you have to be prepared to die on. That is poker.
Yeah.
If you have an edge, you must take it.
Yeah, and it's when it's a significant edge like that.
Yeah, it's the first hand in the World Series. You definitely don't want to go out, but boy, wouldn't it be fun if you had 20,000 chips?
Yeah.
I actually had the good fortune to play one event at the World Series, a little 1,500 World Series event, and you get as many chips as the buy-in. So you only get 1,500 chips, and I thought, well, I can't play this. I mean, I got no room for messing around.
25 an hour clock there.
Yeah, so I thought, well, I'm going to have to mess around a little bit. The first few confrontations have to get lucky. As it happens, I hit 2 pairs and trips, probably 8 out of 10 first hands. And so I've gone from 1,500 chips to 7,000 or 8,000 chips in the first level.
Wow.
How heavenly was that?
Yeah, it makes a big difference,
I could bust any player on the table. We went from 87 tables to 20 tables. It was the most enjoyable day's poker I've ever had in that I was boss.
You were comfortable.
Yeah, now that happened because early I got hands. If you're in the World Series, you get aces first hand, someone pushes in, you call.
Yeah.
4 times out of 5, no matter what he's got, you're going to win. And then you can have some fun, can't you?
Yeah, and it might even be 9 times out of 10, depending on his hand. If he's got ace-king, you're in a serious, he's in a serious amount of hurt.
And if he loses, well, he loses, you know.
Absolutely, one of those things. Email from Tirade, and Tirade is saying, hey, Prince, Mark and TK. Great informative show tonight, guys. Great job. Just a quick question on the play I made. Made 3rd place out of 2,500. Wow, good play. In a $30 satellite to a 20,000K tournament. In the tournament, I get this hand just before the cutoff. Pair of 9s, and I raise 4 times a big blind, person on the button, flat calls. Okay, flop comes 9-5-5, so I made a full house. I check to induce a bet as this an aggressive plan. I put him on either 2 overcards or a small pair. He does a pot size bet, and I re-raise him. He goes all in, I call, he turns over aces, hits his ace on the turn. Nasty. I was just wondering if I played this wrong, and if I should of kind of give him a little hint in the chat that I may hit the full house, lol. No, unfortunately, you've done nothing wrong. You're a big favourite. You're something like, as I said, I'm not sure the exact odds, but you're a huge favourite anyway. So you've done nothing wrong and got very unlucky. That is the nature of the poker. You know, that is poker for you. There's not a lot you can do.
It sounds like, to begin with, before the flop, you was a big dog.
Yeah.
9s against aces. On the flop, you was huge.
Yeah, massive.
But what would have happened if you moved in on the flop? Do you think the guy with aces would pass? No. I doubt it. When the cards were turned over on the flop and he was facing a full house, all of a sudden the guy with the aces doesn't like it. Then he hits his card. Yeah. He went in behind, he went in front, he fell behind. It's just one of those things in poker, I'm afraid.
It is, yeah.
You would not have got him to pass, I don't think.
No, you
not on a
wouldn't.
955 flop.
No, no way. Email from Man of Mystery. Hi guys, just a quick question. I suppose my game could be better, as I'm not sure how to play in this position. Please, could you give a detailed reason how and why this position is so important? P.S. Great show. Okay, so position. Why is position important, Tony?
Because position is enables you. If you're on the button, then you've got the information on a 10-handed table. You've got information from 7 of the players. The small blind and big blind are still to act, but 7 of the 10 players have already acted. So you've got a lot of information that you gathered. If you're under the gun, that is to say first to speak before the flop, you have no information whatsoever. You've got no idea if your medium pair is going to get re-raised, which you're going to have to pass if it does. You don't know where you are. When you're on the button, there's been no action. Now you've only got 2 people behind you. So position, in my opinion, is extremely important. They call the button the still position. It is a still position because there's not been much action. You can start getting busy here. You've only got the blinds to get past. Very, very important. Don't be messing around in early position. If you're not getting hands, it doesn't matter, because when you're on the button, you can be creative. So position, very important.
Okay, so we've got, thanks very much for that, Tony, for answering that. Time for our multi-table tournament. Let's go there.
No, hot hake balls, my friend.
Oh, your friend?
Oh, no.
It'll be an interesting conversation.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I was
So
not on the stage
we've
of
got
kissing
13 players left across 2 tables. Ah, look, we've got Hoofy out there. Well done, Hoofy, for getting this far. He's got about 12 times a big blind. Not in desperate stakes at this stage. Still got some play left, although he wants to pick his opponents, and he's quite fortunate because there's only one person that he's got to worry about, and that's Banin. But he's got some players there that can fold. He's got foldability within quite tight. He's got some foldability within quite tight, I think, yeah. Poker Pro's got some foldability, as is that guy in seat 1. So as long as he chooses his opponents carefully. Oh, look at that. Jacks against queens and quite tight. There's no foldability now. Oh dear. Unlucky quite tight. There you go. There's an overpair beaten by an underpair. Nasty when it happens, especially when you get so far. Yeah, it's very nasty. Oh well. Well, you still can come back from this. I've seen people come back from worse situations than this, so don't give up just yet. I've got an email here from Ironside.
Not again.
Yeah. And he's saying, Mark, you still haven't told me what you re-raised me with from the big blind in the Vic when I had to muck my signature hand from the small blind after I raised the 4 limpers.
If I can put this in context, this happened about 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
No, it wasn't as long as that. It was about 2.5, 3 years ago, yeah.
It was the year that...
How do you know?
I was on the table.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, James Vogel had won...
Oh, that's right, yeah,
had won the bracelet that year.
Yeah.
Or was about to. I think he'd won it. Porrick Parkinson was in seat 9.
He had won it, yeah, because I'd spoken to him at the World Series.
Yeah, Pippa Flanders was in seat 7 or 8. She was taking the table to pieces. Bogle was in 5, I was in 6, you was in 2 or 3.
I took a bit of money from Pippa, I remember in that one.
You most certainly did.
Yeah, I remember.
And Mr. Ironside...
Yeah.
I've told today that Ironside is a name that was applied to the Scottish warriors in the Civil War. I didn't know we had a Civil War with Scotland, but it's because of their breastplates.
Okay.
Anyway,
what did I have?
His signature hand is Ace-King. And he's officially known as the world's worst player of Ace-King.
All right. Whatever it was, Ironside, I can't remember now, to be honest with you. But whatever it was, I was ahead, I can guarantee you. You know how tight I play.
He was stealing, you were pushed off.
No, I actually think for what it was worth, I'm pretty sure I had a big hand. I'm sure it was bigger. It was. Let's put it this way: you raised 4 limpers. There's no way I'm doing that with Ace Queen, is it? Let's face it. So it's got to be whatever it was. It was beating Ace King. or at least equaling ace-king, but I don't think I'd make that play even with ace-king. I can't remember what it was.
Just make something up.
Yeah, I think it
You'll
was...
go away happy.
I've got a feeling it was one of the big three hands. It was either aces, kings or queens. I can't remember which one though.
You have some memory because that was at least 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was almost certainly going to be kings or aces. It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been. I don't think it might have been queens, but it's.
Just reverting to this MTT, 5 players left. I'm not entirely sure how many runners there were, but I suspect there are around about 130,000 chips in play. So there are 11 runners. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 2 tables.
Yeah, 2 tables left.
So the average is about 12 or 13,000. Very important to know what the average is and where you are relative to the blinds. If the average is 12,000, let us say for the moment, blinds are 1,000, 2,000.
That's interesting you say that, Tony.
It's just gone.
I don't think it's that important to know yourself where you live according to the average. I think it is important to know where... I think it's important to a point, but I find it much more important to know where you are relative to the blinds.
I agree. I maybe phrased that wrong. I have to know where I am relative to the blinds.
But a lot of people think along those lines, though, don't they?
But as a piece of information, I like as much information in front of me as I can. And I like to know how I'm doing relative to the tournament. And if I start off with a lot
Just
of chips...
Just one sec, Tony. Just one sec. Look what we've got here. We've got kings against ace-jack. This could be painful for someone. And it's potentially painful for Wiz.
Oh, how cruel is poker.
I actually meant to say it was potentially painful for
Mongo
Manon, not for Wiz. And I put the card.
And it's always the guy with the big stack that catches the card, isn't it? You have to feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah, sorry, Wiz. Didn't mean to put the kibosh on you there.
You bocked him.
Yeah, I did. So sorry, Tony, about that. How you were saying?
We were talking about where we are in a competition. I do like to know what the average is, just so I can get a feel for whether I've got to get busy or can wait a while. And there are different gears you have to have in a tournament as opposed to cash.
Yeah.
And there are times when you need to get busy or you get creative. There are other times when you can sit and wait for a while for hands.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't like the table on, but it'll break soon, so you can pretty much sit out. So I do like to know what the average is, but I agree with you. The real determining factor is the blinds.
Yeah.
And someone that's blinded away or entered away more than anybody in the world, and someone that's finished on the bubble more times than any in the world, it's a lesson I learnt the hard way.
Yeah, interesting. We've also, I mean, just thinking about that hand, you know, I've got a very strange feeling, even though I'll just go back on what I've just said. I've got a very strange feeling, Ironside. It might have been jacks. I don't know why I've got that. Okay, so that might have been what it was. It might have been jacks, but it was certainly not less than that. I know that. It certainly wasn't ace-queen, so...
You're making this up.
No, I'm just trying to recap. I remember sitting there, and I can remember almost half... I can sort of half remember the hand. I just can't remember exactly.
It's got to be said that, you know, when you get quite deep in the tournament, there are 4 limpers. Ironside's play there was quite good. You know, there's a lot of dead money in the middle. The guy that limped third and the guy that limped fourth can't have too much of a hand, can they?
No, I think that's the right play.
Because they wouldn't be limping. The guy in first or second position might have a big hand, but if there's 4 limpers and you're fifth to speak, putting a big bet in is correct play. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a move. It wasn't a squeeze play, if that's what you're wondering, Ironside.
Ironside lives in northeast of Inverness or Aberdeen, I think in a place called Elgin.
Elgin, okay.
It's a long way up on the right on the right hand side.
Aberdeen's pretty far, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
It's
Aberdeen's
it's a 5 hours drive south to Glasgow. I can never get over that. That's a very long way.
It's all those mountains you've probably got to drive around. That's what it is. So yeah, if it's any consolation, it was a better hand than ace king. Might not have been that much better, but it was certainly a little better.
In fact, Ironside might be on this table, seat 3.
Really? Well, I'm a fish. Or was it llama fish?
I am a fish. Down to 10 runners, so if my mathematics was correct, and there was there must have been more chips in there. How many runners did we have here?
Good question. We had, I can tell you,
121 runners.
Yeah, and times 2, so 200, about 250,000 chips in play.
Okay, so the average is 24,000. The blinds are 1,500, 3,000. So it's 8 big blinds, is it?
for
The average, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's a bit harem-scary.
Thereabouts, anyway. Well, look at this. We've got like to play. Who's got a bit of a hand here. Bottom pair and inside straight draw.
Yeah, I like to play. Doesn't want to read his queen. His queen will give him 2 pair, and he will not want to pass. But it will also give.
Oh, that's disappointing from I like to play. He's just up against a big blind, and I'm surprised he didn't bet out his bottom pair with the inside straight draw. But he didn't. He just. I don't know what he's thinking. He's just worried about. I mean, like I keep on saying, you hear me say this a lot of times, that the guy who's in position, he can do that with anything. And we just saw he just did. He absolutely did it with nothing. And these people will do it all the time when you don't bet and don't find out where you are. And that's the thing about poker. Sometimes you've got to look at situations and say, well, I've got to bet to find out where I am. I can't just check because I've got no idea where I am. The difference, the caveat to that is, of course, you don't want to do that if it's costing you a significant portion of your chips. Or you've got or you've got feelings for one reason or another that the guy has got a better hand than you. Then that's different. But when you've got...
We've made this point a lot of times tonight, and I actually feel uncomfortable giving poker advice, but that's what we're here for, so it may not be good advice, but this question about finding out where you are is ever so important. You know, a probe bet is more than just building a pot. It's finding out if you're up against anything big. Ever so important.
Yeah, that's why if I'm, for example, if I'm sitting on the button with ace-queen, ace-king even, and I've got an early position limper, under the gun limper, and I've got these kind of hands, I'm going to raise it.
You're going to raise it?
For the simple reason...
No hand is going to pass. Monster, which he might be check raising with, he's going to spring the trap now. You can get out of the way.
Exactly. I'd rather, like you said in the early part of the day, I'm looking to lose a small pot here rather than a big one later. Because the last thing I want to do, Tony, is me flop the king. Yeah, I've got top pair now, and it's going to make it very hard for me to pass. And he's sitting there with aces.
This is a disaster. It
Or
happens
kings
so
even.
many times. You've got ace-king, and he's got aces, and you catch the ace or you catch the king. You don't know where you are. You've got a disaster on your hands.
So you've got to probe these guys, haven't you?
You have to
Absolutely.
have a little look-see. Ask a question. It's like the other gentleman asked about position. You must pay a lot of attention on the table to information gathering. And every action by every player is a piece of information that you've got. If you're on the button, you've got the best of that information because 7 people have acted. If you're under the gun, you've got no information at all. You might be sitting with queens, behind you are kings and aces. You've got no idea.
Yeah, good points there from
Under the
TK.
gun, in a normal competition, you shouldn't be messing around. Because don't forget, if you take a flop, you're out of position now. Now you have a problem because there's guys to act behind you. Really, unless you've got a very strong hand, you should only be playing, if we imagine the button is seat 10, you should only be looking at playing in seats 8, 9, 10 at best. Earlier on, be careful.
Words from the wise.
Words from the old.
Well, I'm a fish. He's pushing with his ace-5. Chancy play. 3 people behind him, but he needs those blinds, and I don't blame him. 6,000 out of his 26. That puts him into, what's that, 25% of his stack, more or less, so that's certainly worth doing. Just under 25% of his stack added to him. He's going to be pretty pleased about that. And, oh, he's called with the ace-7. What a nasty call. Oh, that's unlucky for Socha. I thought that was a decent play. Not a good play from Delir, calling with the ace-7. In fact, he went all in. What do you think he has, Dilly? I mean, that was the best situation you could hope for. He's got a pair of 2s or below your 7, but, you know, very fortunate now. But look at this now. 5 players left in this table.
Okay, welcome to the final table, and congratulations, everybody. Somebody's going to get a nice meal at the Hyatt Regency, I believe. At the,
yep.
Was it a meal or the chef's table? Not
Chef's
quite
table.
Sure. Oh, you get the table, right,
Yeah.
okay.
So chef's table at the Hyatt, that's going to be pretty good. Yeah, you don't get to eat anything, mind you just get to sit at the table. Yeah, as long as people realise that.
I have to say the prizes they give for these are very original, and I like them.
Yeah,
you know,
it's nice to have something different, isn't
poker
it?
prizes are very unoriginal, and we've had, last week it was wine, expensive line as well. And this week it's, I think second place is a iPod Nano.
Nano, yeah.
Nano, yes, one of those.
Yeah, very nice indeed.
I've got a Walkman, that's fine. And first place is a meal at a Swiss restaurant in London. So
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah, it will be very nice. So that should be good fun for whoever wins it. And I presume it's a meal for two, possibly, but I don't really know. I haven't got that info, but should be good. Should be good fun. And like you said, it's nice to have a bit of originality. And well done to all those guys who made the Poker Bowl final. So we're going to be done here live in the studio in the not too distant future. So well done to those qualifiers. It should be should make some good TV. So I'm a Fish doesn't want to know his King 5, don't blame him for that. Ryman might decide to push here, he does, don't blame him. He's got an ace, it's good enough. That's 9,000 in the pot, he wants it, and he's entitled to have it. Well, this will be interesting now. Ryman's now got a pair of threes. The only problem is he's not going to have any foldability. No, he's just decided to get rid of it, and I don't blame him. You don't want to call a pair of threes, you know you're up against a worse case scenario, 50-50.
If there'd been no action, he moves in there.
Yeah.
And quite right too. But blinds at 3,600 are catching up with him.
Yeah, interesting here from likes of play. Made it 12, just in case someone does wake up with something with his King Jack. He's not over enthused about it. Doesn't want to walk into Ace Jack or Ace Queen or Ace King for that matter.
He might move here, Ryman.
Well, if he does, he's going to not get a folder.
He's not going to hit past I'm a Fish, is he?
No, no, and there you go. We've seen that a couple of times, haven't we? The last time was with a pair of jacks and it got folded around to that. Because that is
here he goes. Position. Wish him luck with this. He might well get called by the King Jack here.
No, I can't imagine he's going to get caught. It's too much of his chips, Tony. It's nearly
You're right.
2/3 of his chips, isn't it?
You're right.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden he's got 38,000. Look.
Yeah, he's moved up nicely, and the blinds are creeping up, aren't they? They're 3,000, 6,000. So we're going to see one or two players go out here, and as the chips get consolidated amongst the remaining players, it means that we're going to have some nice play afterwards. But in the meantime, 2 or 3 players have got to get knocked out for that to happen. And I suspect it's going to happen within the next half a dozen hands or so. But we shall see.
Oh, look. Pocket eights, pocket kings.
Yeah.
Plays itself at this stage.
He's not throwing this away, is he? And Ryman's get off this easily. Well, 8's behind. Oh, that's all over.
It's drawing dead.
Yeah, no card. No spade for poker. That was his only out.
Unlucky for Poker Pro, though, because he can't do anything else with that hand.
No.
Just
blinds are tight, aren't they, now, and he needs to make a move. So, very unlucky.
He's getting very big, this... I can't even read that. Mongonamen
No,
no, that's the fellow next door. Sorry, they're holding hands here. Mongonamen.
Yeah, there's
Mongonamen.
Yeah, let's just call him Mong.
We call him Big M.
So King Jack, he's probably going to move this. Probably wants to make it. I think that's a bit dangerous there. I think he could have got away with an 18,000 bet just in case he walks into something bigger. Now Ryman is deciding that does he want to call with this hand? That's in effect what it is. It's just a call. He might decide to let it go because he's on the button. He's still got a few hands to play.
If only he knew what he was against.
Yeah. And he has decided to let it go.
To my mind, he's doing it right. Whatever he moves with, unless it's a monster, he needs to move first.
Yeah.
He can move with 2-7.
You don't want to call with that hand, do you?
No.
Because that's really what he was doing. But look at he's called. Mong's called with a King Jack. What a nasty call. Sorry, that wasn't good, Mong. You get a bit carried away with your hands there, with your chip stack. He gave away unnecessarily there, didn't he? He asked a question, he put in a nice bet, the 24,000, that's saying, if you've got something bigger, come over the top of me and I'll fold. And that's what he did. But when they did do that, he didn't fold.
Well, he was in good shape against King 10.
Yeah, but not much else.
I mean, he's hoping the opponent's on 10s or less. But given the amount of chips he's got, Big M, there were better spots to put those chips in, I think.
Yeah, he shouldn't have thrown it away there, I'm sorry.
I think, oh no. For some reason, I want Ryman to do well here because he was pretty low stack, and he's been patient and got his move through now.
Yeah, I know we can see the situation, Mong.
The button is all in here for sure.
Yes, he is indeed. Yeah, 11, 12,000. Hoof can't call, that's the thing. He can't afford to call. Well, he can't. He can. Well, he's done it. It's worked out okay for him. Gosh.
Look at that full house.
How's that?
With a card to spare. That's cruel.
Yeah, how much was it? Another 6,000?
Such a cruel game sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting pot odds to call, but yeah. But
Here goes Ryman again.
Let's have a look. 6,000 out of his 20. That's a third of his chips.
And Ryman's put an interesting bet in here.
Yeah, 6 to win 26.
Played it properly, if I might put it that way, rather than just ramming the pot.
Yeah, I suppose he had to call, really, looking at it, I guess. 6 out of 20. He had 6,000 to win nearly 27,000 there, TK.
Yep. I'm afraid Pocket Eights has not been lucky in the final. We've seen it twice. Twice it's run into unfortunate situations. But you can't let them go with these blinds.
Oh, Ryman didn't want to push there. Jack 9 nowhere. And they're just checking, and whoever gets it, gets it. Ace doing it for I'm a Fish. He's back up to 25.
And Ryman takes the side pot, yeah. Isn't it one of our Ryman's come back? Ryman was hanging in there, fingernails bleeding, and now in a good second place.
Yeah.
You know, he's starting to dance a little. Dancing a little now.
He is dancing a little, that's right. Dangerous against chip leader.
Is it Ryman or Pieman?
No, Ryman, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I know a Pieman. I do.
Do you?
Yeah, a man who's sponsored by a pie factory. It's true. Simon, his name is.
Okay. I believe you.
You know the rhyme?
What, who ate all the pies? So, King Fish, sorry, I am a fish rather, wins with his king. He's back up to 37. He was looking a bit desperate a moment ago, but he's got the ace 9 and he's going to pick up 12,000, which is very nice for him because that's added 30% to his stack.
When you play poker, in tournament poker, you live to play final tables. Doesn't matter if it's a $2 or a £2,000. The buzz comes from playing a final table. And when you get home after playing a final table, I don't know how you, I can't sleep. The adrenaline rush is just wonderful.
It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah,
I don't make many of them, but
yeah, it's good.
It's what it's about. And I just encourage people not to freeze because it's to be enjoyed. Doesn't matter how good you are, you won't make that many of them.
Yeah, it's always nice to make that final table, especially when you've got a nice final table with
these
lots of
guys
structure.
have made the final on TV as well, so that's good.
Well, interesting play now. We've got a situation where the blinds are 4-8 and there are only 3 prizes, so it does mean 3 of these guys are going to walk away with nothing. So if you're going to come out 6th, if you're going to lose, it doesn't make any difference if you come out 6th, 5th or 4th. So players might want to play a little more aggressively here in order to accumulate chips and take chances. They're thinking to themselves, well, if I'm out in 6th, I'm out in 6th. I don't think Monk had to do that earlier, though, because he had such a big chip lead, so he didn't need to commit himself.
Who's your winner here, Mark? Not this hand, I mean this tournament.
Well, you've got to say that the chip leader's got a good opportunity, hasn't he? But, you know, we are talking about 6-handed, so that can easily change.
I'm going for Ryman. That's my man.
Yeah.
I've nailed my flag to his mast.
I like... I think Hoofy's been sort of a bit of a quiet horse there. I think he's got a good chance.
Who?
Hoofy.
Hoof-hearted?
Yeah.
Half-hearted.
There's a reason why we call him Hoofy, as you've probably just found out.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I just walked into that one, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
That's a
So you tried to get me earlier, and it's reversed on you.
Ooh, yeah, I get it. I understand. I won't say it again.
He's probably chuckling to himself now, thinking,
Yeah, got me.
after all this time, I still get one of the presenters.
There's always one. Oh, my goodness. I must have mentioned his name 20 times last week. It never crossed my mind.
So he's looking pretty good here. Likes to play, doesn't want to play with his Queen Jack, and he picks up 12,000. Very nice indeed, well done. And he's climbing up slightly. I think Hoofy's in a good position. Why? Because he's been here before. He knows this situation. He knows what he's got to do to maintain his stack. He maintains his stack every so often, and I think he's not going to get frozen by, you know, the situation. So I think he's got a good chance here. Oh, he likes this hand though. Oh, it's definitely going in here, isn't it?
How will he play
Now,
it?
this is the hand that will define whether
Oh,
Hoofy wins it or not.
Here's a standard race. He's got a straight draw now as well for the tens. Oh!
Yeah, that doesn't really change anything, does it? No. Unless, obviously, he hits it on the turn. So, Hoofy takes it, and bit unlucky there. There's nothing you can do, is it?
Nothing at all. It's a standard race.
Yeah, you've got to. You can't avoid that situation. No. Yeah, no, I didn't think wrong. Like I keep saying, sometimes you can do everything right in poker and still lose.
It
That's
always
poker.
seems to come on the river, doesn't it? Of course it doesn't, but it seems to come on the river. Just when you think you've got it through.
Yeah.
You hold your breath.
And if it's not on the river, it's in the window.
Turn okay. Oh!
Well, ace-king for Hoofy. He likes his hand, and he likes it even better now that Monga's... wow, Hoofy's cleaning up, and that's the end of it for Mong. No outs for him, which means we have our 5th place finisher. 4 left. No one's going to get anything for 4th.
My man is dropping down the field a little, but I have every confidence.
Yeah, Hoofy's now in strong 2nd position, and does he want to call with King 10? He thinks, well, I might as well go out here if I'm going to go out, or I can accumulate chips. Probably doesn't need to. 5-10 blinds are quite high, but I think he's okay.
I'd rather see him move first.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one. I think you can pass that, Ryman. I think there are going to be better opportunities for you.
Is it Delis Seri?
Yeah.
This is the player that you was quite critical of. And,
with the A7,
he
that
got
wasn't
this big double up with A7, but he's put it to good use.
He has, yeah. He's behaved himself since then, but he won't behave himself now. He's going to raise with it. I'm a fish, can't do anything there.
So blinds at 5-10. I'm afraid Ryman's only got one move now.
Yeah, Hoofy's got a free roll there.
And the reality is I'm a fish has only got one move, because if he made a pot size raise it'd be 35,000. You only have 28 left.
Yeah.
So we might as well stick them in.
Yeah.
And Ryman's going to go with this.
He is, yeah. He won't get paid here. Can't imagine he's going to call 45,000 more. He might do. He's done it before. No, he doesn't do it on this occasion. It was 45,000 more. It was a bit too much. Well,
they're all playing themselves at the moment.
Yeah, they're all looking for the T-shirt.
Oh, there goes Ryman again. I wonder if
I can't imagine.
your friend Hoof.
No, he won't call. He's too good a player. He won't call. Oh, he does. Hoofy, you let me down.
What was you saying about him?
Hoofy. I was convinced he wasn't going to call. Convinced.
Excuse me.
And the problem was, is a big portion of his stack, and to call with King Jack, no.
So, my tip for the top. This has been my 2nd successful nap of the day.
I don't mind making the move with King Jack, but not to call with it.
If I can get Ryman home in winning spot, I'll be delighted. I've had a double. I've had this and Arsenal to win 4-0. Pays a fortune, if it comes up. You haven't opened Hoyk's one yet, have you?
No, that's what I was looking at.
So, Hoof, hearted, is all in. And, oh dear.
Oh, Hoofy, you let me down. Calling with the King Jack. That was the hand that did it. That was the hand. And right at the end, your boy, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but right on the very end. He had the 4, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, it was the King Jack that did it. That was the problem, the King Jack.
And my selection is looking good. This could be the double up.
Right, so we have next prize is well, I say next prize.
This is the T-shirt now.
This is the T-shirt, CD, and $20. So who's going to pick this one up? Well, I'm a Fish looks like to be favourite for the T-shirt at the moment. Although if these two clash, which he's probably praying to,
that's what he wants to happen.
Yeah.
But it's nice to come out of the tournament and say, okay, I played a big MTT, it went on the telly and I finished third. It's more than a T-shirt. Pride is a big thing.
Yeah. The nice prize is the Nano and the that nice meal at the Regency, Hyatt.
Oh, there's a big hand here. What's he going to do with his pair, this pocket threes? With a big stack behind him. That's all.
Well, there's only one thing he can do. Just got to push in and hope if he's going to play it. Or he makes... in fact, he doesn't have to push in. In fact, he's got enough chips to make it... I was going to say, make it 35.
That's a nice raise.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. If the other guy goes over the top, then he can throw it away. No, I think that's right. He didn't have to push in. That was
Oh,
the
it's
right
three.
move.
There's two pairs and a suited ace. I'm a Fish has to move here, I think.
Yeah, I think...
Doesn't have a lot of choice.
The only problem
Well,
is he's going to be calling.
He's going to be calling, in which
And he
case...
knows he's got... Yeah, I don't think he can fold, though. He's
Well,
in
he
a
either
position-
takes the position that is against a big ace,
It makes a difference, doesn't it? He's going to have two overcards, basically.
yeah, or if he's against a pair, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
He is. And I'm
Very hard decision, I'm a Fish.
Yeah.
I know how you feel, but you're at
This is-
50-50 at best, aren't you?
This is go back to what we said before, which is that there's no mistake there. The real problem arose earlier when the stack got so low that doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get called.
Yeah, it was
At
a
this
tough one
stage,
for I'm a
the
Fish.
play is dead right. It's just circumstances that beat you there.
I wouldn't say it's clear cut, dead right, in that situation, but it's...
Well, I have to say with the deuces, in his position, I do really want to move first.
Yeah.
Look at this, deuces against two overs, 5-4. If only you knew it was 5-4.
He decided to call. Oh, we won't like that.
If this could come tens and sevens with a 5, what a win that would be. I'd love to see this 10 pair just to be mischievous.
Yeah, and Ryman got away from that, and I don't blame him. Right, well, we're playing for an iPod Nano, and or first prize is a very sophisticated meal at the chef's table at the Hyatt.
Is that pocket nines?
No, it's 5-9.
Ah.
Yeah, he's raced with 5-9.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he's walked into it here. Oh, dear. Maybe he wants the Nano.
He gets a 5 or a 9?
No. I think he wanted the Nano.
Well, yes.
I'm telling you, I think this is what happened.
Really?
I've got a feeling some people aren't into their food, so maybe he's not, and he thought, I want the Nano.
Well, congratulations to both of them and
So,
to everybody who
well
made the
done,
final
Ryman.
table.
Yeah, well done, Ryman, and well done, Delhi. Yeah, I've got a feeling he wanted the iPod Nano. That's why he done it with 5-9. Because he's been playing pretty solidly, hasn't he, up to then? And he just went mad. I think that's what it was. Well done. Okay, we've got some emails to get through, so we might have to rush these a little bit, Tony. Here's one from L. Twig. Is it Mr. Twig?
I don't know.
You know Kevin Twig, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I wonder if it's him. Anyway, hey Mark and TK, just a quick question regarding the multi-table tonight. I accumulated a few chips early on and was able to build on this and play a little tighter during the middle phase of the tournament. When we came to the latter stage of the tournament, top 20, I ended up going out and I would like you to analyse my play. Okay, here we go. Ready for this, Tony?
Yep.
Okay, I was 6th in chips and in the cutoff with 6-7 of hearts. I raised 3 times a big blind and was called by a fairly loose player in the big blind. Flop came 4-5-9, rainbow, and the big blind checked. I bet 3,600, and the big blind, after thinking for a long time, moved all in. I thought about it and figured he had ace high, or maybe even 4 or 5. I figured myself for 14, so called.
14 outs.
14 outs is what he means, yeah. So called. He had king 8, and the turn of the river drew a blank, so I was left crippled and subsequently went out next hand with ace 8 versus jack 10. Was I right in calling, bearing in mind I'm a player whose primary aim is to win the whole thing and have been the chip leader and been very comfortable with around 50 times a big blind if I'd won the hand. Many thanks. Tough one, really, for me. I think your assumption was right, that you had 14 outs. I think you read that pretty well. So I probably would have made the same assumption. The question here is not on that assumption, is whether you want to move in based on the fact that there is still a small percentage chance that he could have made his hand, of course. So really, the 14 ounce is not entirely true. It might be 14. It might be less than 14. However,
it may not be 14 clean outs.
It might not be. No. So
if they're clean, he's favourite.
Absolutely.
He's about
small favourite.
54%, 55%.
Yeah. So do you want to put your tournament life on a call on a coin flip? That's really what it boils down to. Do you want to call with a pair of twos? It's really what it's boiling down to. When you know the other guy might have a pair, he might have 2 overcards. So. Tough one. I do understand. It's a bit difficult to know because, one, I don't know what the prizes were. 2, I'm not sure how many players were, top 20 it says, but I don't know how many players were left. And these all make a difference. And plus, I'm not sure what chips you had in comparison to the other players. I know that you're in 6th in chips, but that doesn't really tell me whether you were distant from the first or second, or whether, it does really depend. But I think it is a tough decision. Personally, if I had enough chips to get away and I could still make a game of it, I might have folded. But it is tough. It is tough.
He says he wanted to win it. I don't think he done anything wrong. He went for it. He didn't hit. You have to gamble. It's this risk reward dial again.
Yeah.
Done nothing wrong, but you missed.
Yeah, the only thing is he might just be banking on his up and down straight draw. That's the only thing.
He might, as he says, if he wins that hand, his chip leader is in the driving seat.
Yeah.
There's.
Of course, in fact, one of his outs were gone with the 8.
As it happened.
So yeah, so a bit unlucky on that one. L Twig. Let's have a look. What else? Do you want to do the next one, Tony?
By all means.
Do you want to do Phil?
Okay, Phil. Hi guys, in the light of the explosion of poker on the internet, do you think that the traditional live poker venues are doing anything to convert these players to the live game? I look at numbers attended at Luton now and think that maybe Grosvenor have been very complacent. Well, I think that's unfair. Yes, they could do more, anybody could do more, and it's very easy to sit at home and play on the internet. You don't have to get dressed and go out and, perform and behave. But Grosvenor, of all people, if it were not for Grosvenor, we would not have a domestic poker circuit, and that's a fact. I think they've been marvellous, and Luton is one of the better casinos in the UK in terms of the way they look after players. So no, I don't think they've been complacent. It's a lot more difficult to put it on live than it is on the internet. We want to see live poker. They are trying much harder these days. In past years, yeah, you would be right. At the moment, I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Grosvenor Luton. You're right. The numbers have dropped a lot from what it used to be, but circumstances change. There is a lot more competition than there was in a year or so ago. So there's a lot more at it, a lot more places to play, and these people get spread out a little bit. Sure, everyone can say you can do a little bit more, but I think Luton have been particularly good. They do look after you well there. Helen, the Candra manager,
Carmel,
and Carmel do an
Simon.
excellent job. So Dina, Dina, yes. We mustn't forget Dina. What a lovely lass. Anyway, you're right. They could do it. Everyone could do a little bit more, but it's pretty good. Email from AT@it. Hi, Poker Gods. What's your opinion of buy-ins for no-limit cash games? Do you think you should buy in for the maximum or some level below that? I know a lot of people have different views. Some like the huge stack. JP Kelly sits with massive stacks in cash games, which leaves them open to losing and winning more in pots. I quite like to buy in for less than the maximum, as it allows you to take a few more risks, and if you do lose, you can reload maybe a couple of times for the same amount as a full buy-in. As some may know, I often have to reload. Well, I have tried both ways. I prefer, personally for my style, I prefer to have the bigger stack, but I don't mind people playing with a shorter stack. If you could play it right, it just has to be played a little bit differently, and it's like anything. It's whatever you're comfortable about doing. If you want to play a shorter stack and you've got the personality to play it that way, then play the shorter stack. If you've got the bigger stack and you feel that that's how you want to play, then play that. Barry Greenstein advocates playing small stacks.
If this is the gentleman I think it is, At-it Bradley, from the North East, who's one of the most exciting young players in the UK, in his case I would recommend coming to the table with a wheelbarrow full of cash, because he gets in with some very, very odd hands. But wonderful game. Just depends how you want to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But it does depend on bankroll and stuff like that. So really on your own personal preference. Trial and error. We've got one last message from your favourite friend, Hoik Balls. How you doing, Hoik? Hello there, Mark and TK. Hoik Balls here. Well done on an excellent show tonight. Despite my initial indignation, I've settled into TK style. I'm not quite at the stage of kissing him, but I do... Let me just say, first of all, none of us are at the stage of kissing him. But I do now think that he's a worthy addition to the show. Perhaps he could consider the following. I got a little too frisky with pocket jacks on a couple of occasions tonight. Now, I'm no big fan of jacks, but when you've waited an age for a sort of hand, it is a little difficult to put them down. I realise there are no rules that fit every situation, but do you think it would be reasonable to consider it a general rule to always fold jacks to a re-raise? I'm sure I lose more than win with jacks, and it joins a whole load of other hands. I hate playing ace-jack, king-jack, etc. I have to give you a very quick answer on this, and then TK will give you his. I personally think you should fold in most cases to re-raises with jacks for the simple reason that you're going to be losing in the majority of cases. However, to wild players, I would call with it. Tony?
Bottom of the email, you haven't read it all out. It says, give TK a big hug from me.
No, I just say I'm not about to do that.
On which note?
Yeah. Okay. That's all we've got time for, I'm afraid, TK.
Thank you, everybody. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for tomorrow. Stay tuned for tomorrow's Poker Night Live, where we're going to have lots of cash games, tournaments, and lots of good things for you. In the meantime, it's good night from me, good night from Tony. Good night.